TikTok, time to rock. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon to everyone who's watching from all over the world, especially all our Muslim friends watching from the UK after you were humiliated.
Destroyed.
Humiliated. Hey, Anthony, you heard of this Speaker's Corner placement?
I've caught wind of it. I was just telling AP there were a cast of characters there I didn't know existed, and pretty well would have been just fine never knowing.
Yeah, it was all the guys I thought were going to be there weren't there, and then it was these other guys. So do we ever know what was going on there? Because I thought it was going to be like Ali Dawa and Hamza, because I've been seeing Chris challenge Hamza there, and so I assumed Hamza was going to be in there because Chris keeps walking up to him and challenging him, and Hamza keeps running, and of course Muhammad Hijab. Trying to think of who the regulars are that I'm familiar with, but that's who I thought was going to be there, and then none of those guys were there, and there was all these other guys, and
yeah. So I think somebody put the word out. I told you when I got off the bus there, I was almost immediately recognized by a couple of Muslims. And you know how that works. Somebody gets privileged information. They want to be the person spreading it. So I took it that they probably were saying stuff. And one thing we do know, when we were there at the park, when we were there at the park, remember we were told that Paul Williams was there, but something caused him to turn back. He didn't come into the park. He retreated to the outskirts, and
we went looking for him. We went looking for him
right.
with a camera, and we walked all the way to the other end of the park and couldn't find him. So, isn't that interesting? Yeah, I hadn't thought about the idea that they were informed, because I was just telling AP yesterday, we get recognized way more over there than we do over here, and when I get recognized over here, it's almost always a fan who says, "Hey, I love your videos," and stuff like that. Rarely Muslims over here. But over there, Muslims recognize you right and left. So, yeah, that is a possibility, because we got recognized several times. You were recognized. So, yeah, maybe people tipped them off, man. Maybe people tipped them off. And they ran like little weaklings.
You're finished.
That was fun, though, wasn't it?
It was a blast.
I thought so, too.
If I could convince my wife, I'd move over there.
Ooh. Yeah, you could see why people would say it gets addictive over there, right?
Yeah.
Hey, Shayna Zion here says, David, please confirm you're being on a Nigerian perspective with Frank Stevens. Yes, I confirmed that like a million years ago. So yes, I confirm. And for everyone who's watching, I'm going to be on the Nigerian Perspective channel tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern time. And let's see, what else is there? Okay, so we were over there for a conference. We were over there for the North Atlantic Polemics Conference, first annual. We were over there for a 3-day conference, giving presentations, and it's various levels. Some of it's like my presentations were on standard stuff, Islamic dilemma type stuff. I did one on 3 stages of jihad, but they also have actual like scholars there coming in from various countries, giving like the latest research into the history of this and that, or to the origins of the Quran and so on. And we had lots of young, matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and show everyone a clip. You guys ready? We're going to start off with a little clip. I got a little clip here. AP, check this guy out.
I agree.
So this is, do you remember we talked about Ananda Apologetics, AP? This is back when Sneeko showed up, and we watched a clip of Chris approaching him. And there was this other guy who was approaching him, and we were going to watch his video. We told him he could jump on with us if he wanted. But that was the channel Ananda Apologetics. He's an he had converted to Shia Islam and then left it. He converted to Shia Islam and then left it. Now here's what's funny. What's funny is, so he's at the conference and I say, hey, like to have you on since we didn't get you on at one time. Wait, is this still being sent to me? Is Shina still messaging me, telling me to confirm when I just literally confirmed? Or is that a different one?
You can never trust an ex.
So, is Shina actually still telling me to confirm? Shina, I literally just confirmed. How many times do I need to confirm? 17 times? Trying to figure it out. All right, so what was I talking about? Oh yeah, so this young guy, Ananda, he he had converted to Islam, then left it. I told him, hey, I'd like to have you on for a live stream since we didn't get you that one time with the Sneeko thing. But since I'm here, why don't you go ahead and give me the quick version? And he gave me the quick version of why he left Islam. Let's go ahead and watch that clip real quick. Pay attention, AP, or you're going to miss it. This is the short version. Hi, I'm here with Ananda, also known as Nectarios.
Hello.
Hi, how you doing? I
great.
heard someone say that you're actually an ex-Muslim.
Yeah.
So I'd like to have you on for a live stream to go through this, but why don't you give everyone the quick version?
Quick version is, I joined Islam. I was inside. I saw the arguments against Christianity. And honestly, just in a simple sense, the fact that they were so bad showed me that Christianity actually was very intelligent. And it showed me that, this intellectual tradition is terrible. It's trash. It's doo-doo water. So when I was like deep in it, I was like to the mandem, we have no args. Every arg gets defeated. We're dead. We're trash. So like when I was there and I was saying to them like, I read these passages from 48 to 53. What's our response? And I was like, guys, we're getting folded. Just because we lied to ignorant, because this is what used to annoy me as well. I saw the Dawah tricks. They would debate arguments they lost with people they knew couldn't answer. And I see this in the corner too. They just take the same args, recycle it. And I just thought, if this is what we're doing, how are we upon the truth if we have to be so dishonest, so deceptive, so irreceptive to information? So I was just like, I don't want to be in this shoddy car they sold me no more. I want to get a new car. Jesus Christ, the best car. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
All right. Well, that's awesome. Well, how can people follow your work? Because you're at Speaker's Corner. You're one of the guys that's holding it down there now. Yeah. So anyway, he's got away with words. I don't want to be in this shoddy car. They sold me no more. I want the new car, the best car. Jesus Christ. Oh boy. Yeah, so anyway, this dude's funny. But he's one of the guys holding it down at Speaker's Corner. And I'll go ahead and put that clip in a video. I recorded a bunch of quick videos with ex-Muslims. Lots of ex-Muslims out there. Way more persecution of ex-Muslims than I thought. Maybe not so much with these guys who converted and then left, but specifically people from the Pakistani community who've left Islam seem to be catching it really, 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 really hard. What do you got there, Anthony?
In fact,
I know what you have there, but you can go ahead and tell everyone.
Yeah, it's just sitting here. You mentioned people that converted. This is Thomas Samuel. I don't know if you noticed, the book is dedicated to Nabil. Nabil was an inspiration to him, but he was a Salafi Muslim, knows his stuff, wrote a good book about his conversion. So people can check that out as one example.
Hey, he's actually funny. AP, you and I, we watched a video of him at some point, and we were like, is this serious? Come on, is this stuff serious? And then I got all these messages afterwards saying, no, I know that dude. That's serious. So we were watching it and being pretty skeptical. And then I got all these messages from like Mike Lacona and Josh Lingle and others who were saying, nope, I can vouch for this guy. And then when I get over there, and then I meet him and stuff, he's actually funny. Every time I walk by him, he act like he was going to kill me, which is funny. That's like exactly my sense of humor. It's just funny, and I'd be standing there, and he'd be making motions like he's going to kill me and stuff. Anyway, pretty funny guy. But yeah, that's his book, and we'll get him on for a live stream at some point.
I agree.
It would have been funnier if he did do you in.
Yeah, that would have been funny. That would have been funny too. Hey, he actually had my back. I was talking to some Muslims there, and they started saying, "Oh, in the Arabic," and he steps up and he goes, "What? What's that?" And so it was actually pretty cool because, native Arabic speaker there, ex-Salafi, And now he's spitting hot fire. It's cool. It's cool. And he's a funny guy. All right, let's take a couple super chats here, and then we will. What are we going to watch? What should we watch first? We'll watch a little bit of Chris's video because Chris gives a kind of overview, and then we'll play some. I'll play a clip of this one shake running, and that there are a bunch of clips of that happening. And we'll talk a little bit about that. And then we will watch some of Anthony's debate on the Trinity, because you'd think this is what these guys attack all day, all night at Speaker's Corner. They're going to have some really, really, really awesome, epic takedowns of the doctrine of the Trinity. Anthony, were you impressed?
Not at all. As you said, some of the big guns allegedly weren't there. There were people like Mansour, who's touted as a go-to guy on Tawhid and Trinity, but
Mansour?
yeah, he kept running.
No,
And-
AP's pronouncing it Mansour, like a
right,
sewer,
Mansour.
a sewer.
Yeah, Mansour. So
Yeah, get a new name. Get a new name, Mansour.
So,
Hey,
the-
Mansour.
so some of the big names weren't there. Mansour was, and he didn't want anything to do with anything, and so we were left with Siraj, the guy they call Scrappy.
Scrappy-Doo. Scrappy-Doo. Yeah, so Scrappy was the only one willing to stand up against the doctrine of the Trinity. Paul Williams ran. Mansour ran. The other guys didn't even show up, so they didn't have they ran before they ran. And but yeah, you had Scrap Siraj. He showed up. He showed up and stood his ground. And so we'll watch a little bit of that. All right, a couple super chats real quick. Didn't know we had multiple variants of D Wood. No, we only got one. There's only one D Wood.
Oh, it's probably because there's the clip over there with you and
yeah. Oh, okay, I get it. Agnostics be like, I just don't know if being on time exists or not. Shame on you, AP. Shame. No, AP catches it for being an agnostic.
I agree.
Let's see. Let me make us regular size here. Salutations, friends, and hello to you, Mr. Rogers. I haven't seen too many videos featuring you so far, but it is good to get you to know you a bit more. Anthony, why don't you give a quick rundown on who you are and what you do, since you are unfamiliar?
Yeah,
to some?
so I was converted in '93. I was immediately confronted by Muslims, started engaging them apologetically.
Where were you converted,
Kept-
Anthony?
I was converted just in the same place as you, in a prison. So I was 18 years old.
Hey guys, you see how he conveniently tried to leave that out to cover
Yeah,
up and
I
whitewash his
was.
background? Not on this show, bud, bro.
But notice how I said just like David Wood. So everybody, no, okay. So I was converted in prison. I was surrounded by Muslims. I thought people would be excited, as I was excited. Found out they weren't, and they weren't actually there for their good behavior. So I was immediately thrown into a volatile situation. From that, learned never to be concerned about what might happen in the course of things. So thankful to the Lord for that. Eventually, I started writing on Answering Islam, where you were also writing at the time. You were doing some stuff publicly, formal debates, and one time I think you mentioned my name to the people putting the event on, and they brought me on along with you. And then you eventually had me contribute to the blog you were doing with Nabil back in the day. And we've been doing stuff ever since, here and there.
And let's see.
I
Who
agree.
keeps messaging me? Let's see. Hey, AP, I just sent you a message on X. I hope you can answer my question and make things clear to me, y'all. And thank you for all you do. Jesus loves you, AP. Yeah, AP, quit ducking the questions people send you.
I agree.
Dima says, Jesus had breasts is so freaking funny. It's such comedy gold. So if anyone doesn't know why that's funny, this is what Siraj was saying. So Siraj came over and he was acting like he controls us all and he tells us what to do. And then God logic destroyed him. And then he starts talking to me, and I was like, dude, you wouldn't answer a single question that God logic had. Nothing. It didn't matter how many times he repeated it. He could repeat it every single time, and you would not answer. And then the entire time I'm having any sort of, the whole time I'm there with him afterwards, a guy's asking him one question over and over and over, like probably 100 times, he still won't answer. So I'm like, I'm just not interested in talking, but he's acting like I have to. So I just started making fun of his prophet. And then when I started making fun of Muhammad, he starts mocking Jesus. Isn't that funny? Like, that's what's funny about it. It's the true colors keep coming out, right?
Keep
We
coming
see-
throh.
We see
We
your
love
true
Jesus
colors.
more than you.
More than
See?
you Christians. Jesus had breasts. Jesus had breasts. He was transgender. Ah! That's what he said as soon as you start making
That's not
fun
what
of
he said.
Muhammad.
That's not what he said. What he said was Jesus was the first transgender in history. He had female breasts. Your mom has smaller breasts than Jesus. Jesus was the first transgender. That's what he said.
That's what he was saying. I was telling AP, look, if you wanted to do something, go after Paul or something like that, someone you're not required to believe in and don't have to pretend that you respect. But anyway, do love it when the true colors come out. But it's so freaking funny. It's such comedy gold. You absolutely must add it to your repertoire of mocking Dawa guys alongside you see, you weakling. I don't know. He's kind of not important enough. AP is lame for ignoring my member chat Tuesday. Yes, indeed. That's true.
And for other reasons.
That's what
I
they
would
do.
never do.
AP is based for not ignoring this super chat, though.
Ooh, yes.
Let's see. As an ex-Muslim who deals with Muslims, I need the immunity your Quran shirt provides. Oh, hi, AP and Anthony. Everyone loves the Quran shirt.
I agree.
AP
Well,
is...
I don't know if you saw. I did a debrief
I did see
the other
that.
day.
I did see you wearing the shirt
And
that
I was wearing the substitute shirt, and Aladdin came on at the end. I don't know if you've
Oh.
ever talked to Aladdin, and he was telling me how much he respects me compared to others, but he thought that it was quite inconsistent for me to be wearing that shirt. And I asked him what he didn't like about the Quran. I said, these are all Quran verses. And then
Wait,
he
which
said,
Aladdin? Apostate Aladdin?
I don't know. No. This is a Muslim.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because apostate Aladdin, he also would have been offended by it, but for completely different reasons. Imagine
Well,
a Muslim
he
walking
told me-
by there, seeing you in that shirt.
He said,
Imagine how much
he
that would
said
hurt
it's-
his feelings.
Yeah. So he was upset by it, and I asked him why. What does he have against the Quran?
Mhm.
And then he said, well, you're going to take that shirt off and you're going to throw it somewhere and blah, blah, blah. And I said, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I said, you're objecting to the shirt itself, but now you're making up a scenario where I'm allegedly going to do something that gives grounds for offense. I haven't done that. You're just saying I'm going to. I said, but truth be told, if you came in my library, every single Quran I have is as low to the ground as they possibly can be.
Mm.
So don't be worried about the shirt.
Not as
Worry about
low as they are in me and AP's rooms because they're in pieces. They're in pieces all over the floor, so it's even lower.
Yes.
AP is mewing for being in this stream.
Yeah.
You guys just explained to me what that was, and I still don't get it. Always Sunni. Have you ever seen the show Always Sunny in Philadelphia? You heard of that, Anthony?
I have not.
There's a show, and people pointed out. I was saying always.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, saying we should do a spoof called Always Sunni in Pedophilia. But Iran always Shiite.
They need to bring back the Real Housewives of ISIS.
Yeah, that was
That
good.
was good. I agree.
Greetings from the Netherlands. God bless you all. AP, time to open those leather straps and embrace the light. That's true.
I agree.
The big wigs of Dawa kept falling in the holes the narrative made, so they couldn't make it to Speaker's Corner. Yeah, that'd be their excuse. Because I was trying to get there, but there was so many holes in the narrative that I kept falling into, in it. And we're proud of that. Live reaction to Shake It Off, Why I Criticize Islam video. The end part had me crying. Bring Muhammad some milk. I will check that out. We should go through. Yeah, maybe this weekend we'll go through some of these other videos. That'd be a good idea. Maybe on my channel on Sunday we'll go through some of these other videos. Solaria says, praise be to God for strengthening the faithful. The good shepherd leads us beside calm waters. Let not your heart be troubled. Indeed. Anthony looks like an ancient Sith Lord. Yeah, or a Sons of Anarchy reject, which is what the Hebrew Israelites call him. Who was that black woman? Who was that black woman yelling at Anthony in the other video? You know what that's about?
No, I think he's talking about, it was a white lady yelling at me, the counterpart to Jono. So Jono's this guy that apparently has been at the park a long time. He spiraled out of control, decides that him and his female sidekick are the only true Christians in the park. And I didn't even know who this guy was. I'm over there about to debate Siraj.
I remember Jono. Yeah, he was cool back in the day. He used to basically stand up for people like Hatun and stuff if people were being aggressive towards her. But yeah, I heard he suddenly now, he's basically like you. He thinks he's the only real Christian, or you know what I mean?
Except I admit at least 3 more people into the fold. No, but he came out of nowhere. He's yelling in my face, and I told him he was an angry man. And next thing you know, I'm not angry, right? Yelling at me. And then he's in this little push war with people around me. And I was like, see, I told you were angry. And then the girls over there yelling, grabbing people's hats, throwing them and stuff. So yeah, they were not on their best behavior. In fact, I think they were more out of control than any Muslim I saw last Sunday.
I don't know. There was a dude who pulled out his belt and started whipping people.
Going after, he was, going after one of our friends.
Correlation between Job and Israel. Job was struck with tragedy. His enemies seized the chance. His friends were miserable comforters. Everyone thought they were saying the right things about God and how he must be punishing Job. Yep, there are lots of parallels with Job. Muhammad was a child molester. Yeah, Siraj brought that on himself. I politely told him he could go away because I wasn't interested in discussing anything with him, and that I'd rather have a discussion with some of the other guys who actually respond. The Muslim on Anthony's stream yesterday was exhausting by saying Matthew 28:19 in the Worldly Bible doesn't involve the Holy Spirit, but ignored verse 20, including the Holy Spirit. What's your thoughts?
This was colossal stupidity. So the guy, I brought him up. I mean, I'm cordial with him, So we were talking, and he was telling me Matthew 28:19 is a forgery or an interpolation. This is a common claim. It has no factual evidence for it.
Didn't Paul Williams spread that nonsense?
Yeah, and I have a whole. I even posted the links to the articles. They're on the blog that we used to do. I had 2 articles there where I addressed these claims. There's not a single manuscript that's missing Matthew 28:19, the full Trinitarian formula, and none of the other arguments against it fly either. There are numerous patristic citations of the text long before it was supposedly interpolated. Kind of strange for people to be citing a text that didn't find its way into the Bible, until much later. But he found. So here's what the guy did. You know how when something's posted online, sometimes it'll have only a part of the quote and you have to press read more and it gives you the rest of it. Mm-hmm. Well, apparently he was looking at one of these parallel Bible things where it gives you all the different renderings of a verse in different translations and didn't realize that it didn't have the full verse on there because you're supposed to press the link and see the rest of it. So he thought it was cut off after Father and of the Son, and then it has, it's cut off. So he thought it lacked the Holy Spirit. And for the life of me, I couldn't get this guy to think sensibly. And even his links, I kept showing him how the links refute him. So he was exhausting. And anyways.
Wow, that's powerful. That's powerful, Dawa. That ranks right up there with Osama Abdullah complaining in his debate with James White that the Gospel of John starts off with, there you have in the Gospel of John, there was a man sent from God whose name was John. He's like, how can you verify yourself? And James trying to explain to him that they're 2 different Johns and him not understanding at all.
And it reminds me of Sami Zaatari. Remember, at one time, he thought that verses that were in parentheses in some translations of John 1:14 it says the Word became flesh and dwelt among us, and then parenthetically it says we beheld His glory. The glory is of the only begotten of the Father. That's in parentheses, and he thought that meant that it was added by the translators rather than just being a parenthetical aside by the author. And the reason he thought that is because their gibberish Quran, in order to be rendered intelligibly into English, they have to add stuff to it to make sense out of it, right? So he thought anything in parentheses was added. Yeah, terrible.
Mm-hmm. Pretty bad. All right, a couple more, and then we're going to check out a video. Just had an AI summary pop up saying the stream is about Mr. Rogers. That's cool. It is. David, how's your engagement level with your new channel since you gave your old one to Hatun? It seems that you have more views on average with the new ones. Genius move. God bless you all. Yeah, I definitely haven't noticed. So the idea is that shouldn't you get more views per video on a channel with 700,000 subscribers than if you start a new channel? And if so, I haven't noticed it. I haven't noticed. I get at least as many, if not more, views on a new channel. And that was just because, I think that's just because they were constantly coming after me on my old channel. So that was part of the idea. That was part of the idea of getting rid of it and starting over. Let's see. David, you think I should buy... Hi, David. You think I should buy this shirt? You see Muhammad is all for the truth for gays. What shirt? What shirt? I don't know what shirt you're talking about. You can't just say, should I buy this shirt in text and act like I'll know what you're talking about. Let's see. I love you guys, but especially AP. Wow. Someone loves AP more than everyone else.
I agree.
Yeah. Some translations, Marion mentions it's not parenthetical in hers, but yeah, some put it in parentheses.
Solitary Emmy still explaining to me what me and AP were discussing yesterday. I think the way to it is the sh finger on the lips, then trace the jawline, then smile. Shh, I'm doing the mewing. Don't disturb me. They were telling me to do that to Siraj. They were saying, go like this. And then I started doing it. I started doing a double. What if I do this? And yeah, it means I can't talk now. I'm doing the mewing. Is it me or do the Niqabis look like badminton balls? Oh, I remember those things. Yeah, I had to think what a badminton thing was like. It's messed up. What did that guy say? I'm a letterbox or post box or something like it.
Letterbox. Yeah.
Hey, AP, this is a good question. White Lily says, AP, you good? Smile, dude. AP, awfully quiet there. We'll see if we can find something to jumpstart AP's brain. What did you learn from I'm Your Crusade in London? What did you learn from I'm Your Crusade in London? I don't know exactly what that means.
Me? Yeah.
I don't know what that means exactly, but what did you learn from London, Anthony?
Well, it depends. One thing I learned is apparently the British, you say something, you order something, and they just bring you what they want. There were several times we were out. You
complained about that the entire time.
Yeah, it was crazy everywhere we went. So Eddie would order something, and the guy comes out and he goes, "Here you go." And he goes, "What's this?" And he goes, "I thought you'd like this better than what you ordered." And he's like, "What the heck are you talking about?" You know, Eddie is Mr. Health Conscious, so you don't just give him whatever you want. So everywhere we went, they kept doing this. And one guy said, "Well, what do you expect? It's Friday. We're out of everything. You know, you ordered something on the menu that's not there. Well, you know, why don't you tell us and we'll make a different choice."
Yeah, so we learned that. I learned, which I talked about yesterday, I learned that means something completely different in the UK. Here, it's just, yo, what's up? Or, hey, something like that. Over there, it's the equivalent of the middle finger. And I only found that out somewhere between 20 and 40 pictures with people. Then someone bothered to tell me. Did you see the complaints in the chat? In the WhatsApp chat? Like someone might need to tell David that British people are going to misunderstand that.
I didn't see that. That's funny. Yeah.
That is funny. One thing, and we'll talk about this a little bit when we watch some of this video by Chris, is that Muslims really think they run Speaker's Corner. And the reason
But they
is
run at Speaker's Corner.
Yeah, they run at Speaker's Corner. Hey, you should make something titled that. Muslims think they run Speaker's Corner, but they really run at Speaker's Corner, right? But I think it's, and Chris is pointing this out, usually it's more Muslims showing up, and that allows them to surround and heckle people and stuff. And that when this advantage was taken away, in other words, when a bunch of Christians showed up and they no longer had this numbers heckling advantage, they all panicked and ran and ducked. That was it was crazy stuff. So, matter of fact, let's go ahead and watch a clip of this happening. Ready? So Chris came up to me. Chris came up and he said, "Hey, there's a sheikh over there. I heard that's Ali Dawa's sheikh. I heard that's Ali Dawa's sheikh over at this table, and they've got the big booth there." And so he says, "Hey, why don't we go over and see if we can get a discussion going with this guy?" And so here it is. This is Sheikh.
What's happening now?
D Wood and his powerful Quran.
These guys. The guy to the you see the guy to the right slightly wearing the white thing with the shades? It's Sheikh Mohammed. Go to the Sheikh and the bunk is off.
Sheikh Mohammed.
Go to the Sheikh and the bunk is off. Let's go. This is David Woods.
Why are you shaking his hand?
Look, I got my hand out.
Nemesis against Islam.
Why are you shaking his
Why
hand?
don't you shake his hand? Where's the peace of love? You shake his hand. I thought religion was peaceful, no? Why are you debating? I thought religion was nothing but peaceful. You guys are brilliant.
You're not agreeing with Jews. I don't know. Hey, you're shaking.
He said the shake is shaking. I held my hand out there, offering it to him. That was a suggestion from someone. It's back when I first met Muhammad Hijab, and I put my hand out to shake his hand, and then he rejected it. So I put my arm back down, and someone said, "You should have just left your hand hanging out there. You should have just left your hand sitting out there." So I went ahead and I was like, "Oh, okay, I'll do that with this guy." So I just sat there with my hand extended. And let's see what happens.
Where are you debating this man? Where are you debating this man?
I think my hand's still out there.
Lifetime opportunity. Will you debate him?
Million views is waiting for you. He's running away.
Come on, will you debate him?
Money. Shake, come on.
Will you debate this man?
I'm David. Nice to meet you.
He can give you a 9.
Said, "I'm David. Nice to meet you." You hear what these guys are saying to them, though. They're saying, "Hey, you'll get 1 million views off this. Debate David right now. You'll get 1 million views. Why aren't you doing it? Why aren't you doing it?"
Don't chop it. I spent all day building and I don't discuss it. I don't want to speak to you. You don't have to speak to you. You don't have to speak to you. You don't have to speak to you. People would watch it. No, we don't have to speak to you. You don't have to speak to you. Go in peace.
That guy's going to town on that miswak. You see that? Some people nervously gnaw on a miswak when they get.
Either that or his wife, and he's gearing up.
Oh, yeah, he's gearing up. Oh, why did my wife warn me that this was going to happen?
He doesn't know him, but somehow he knows it. You don't know him, but somehow you know him. We don't have to speak to you. But these sheikhs, they like to run. I don't know you. These sheikhs are running. But Surah 16, verse 125, the Quran says to invite people to Islam, and we're here. We're here. That's the Quran says it. He doesn't want to talk. Take a date. I want to talk to you. Can I have a date? Yes, of course. Have a date. I can have a date. Take 3 and go. Go in peace. No. All right, we tried, ladies and gentlemen. No debate. So typical. No, this protects you from poison. Muhammad forgot.
Oh, 7. We need 7, isn't it?
Yeah, 7. That's okay. I haven't had any poison today. But thank you. Bye. We tried, ladies and gentlemen. Go in peace. All day long.
Guys, but I mean, look at this. There are Muslims all around him. He's a Muslim. He's got multiple Muslims behind him. There are multiple Muslims behind me. And so seems like a good setting. They've got a booth there. At Speaker's Corner, doesn't want to talk. Doesn't want to say
no respect
wow. And by the way, that happened over and over and over again. I think God Logic went up to the same guy. Then I saw a video over on God Logic's channel where outside the park there's a big one of those big booths, and it's got Jesus was a Muslim on there. God Logic goes and tries to talk to them. They refuse to talk. And they're like, no, we don't want to talk to you. And he's like, you're clearly trying to draw in Christians. You're clearly trying to draw in Christians here with this message. Here I am. I'm interested in hearing what you got to say. No, we don't want to talk to you. It's pathetic, man. It's pathetic. They don't want to hear. They don't want to talk to anyone who knows even the basics of how to respond to their claims. Off limits. You're blacklisted. You gotta. We only want people who have no clue. Who have no clue what we're going to say, and who have no clue about Islam. And that should kind of tell you something. All right. Couple more real quick, and then we'll jump into Chris's video, and then maybe AP will wake up. What is the name of the Father, the Holy Spirit?
It's a modalist.
Yeah, I could tell.
Modalist alert.
Yeah, with the Acts 2, 37 to
Yeah.
39. You want to respond to that or send them to
Yeah,
video?
I mean, quickly, here's the idea. Because it's one name, and I'll make much of that in the debate with Siraj, baptize them into the name, singular, of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. That shows the unity of the persons. It's one name, but there are three persons. There, and this is incontestable. The grammar there stridently affirms both unity and diversity. However, because the book of Acts mentions people being baptized in the name, it's alleged that the name of Father, Son, and Spirit is Jesus. So it's really just one person that's in view here. But the mistake is that Matthew 28:19 is giving the formula spoken by the baptizer over the person being baptized. When you look at Acts 2:38, it's not somebody being baptized, much less somebody pronouncing something over them. It's Peter commanding them in the name of Christ to be baptized. So it's not even the baptism itself, right? It's just Peter saying, be baptized, all of you, in the name of Christ. So you're not being given a formula there that's being pronounced over a person being baptized. So the whole logic of it doesn't even work.
Yeah. Doesn't work. And I'm sure that comes up a lot, right? Because you have debates on that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you guys for your work. Praying for AP's conversion. And D Wood, you are epic for imitating Ali Dawa at Speaker's Corner. Yeah, that was funny. And that was a plan because, again, we thought all the regulars were going to be there. So the plan was to go up to Ali Dawa, ask him to, have a conversation, a discussion, a debate on some points. And if he refused, which is what I expected him to go, no, you're not important. We're not going to reward your bad behavior. Yeah, innit? Something like that. And I was thinking, okay, then I would just go into heckling mode, but I would heckle him as Ali Dawa, right? I would be Ali Dawa heckling Ali Dawa. That was the plan, but didn't show up. Oh, my bad profile pic. Sorry, that was a Mike Winger moment. My bad, lol. Muhammad is waving a pride flag. Aha, Mike Winger moment. D Wood and Anthony, what if Allah saw you wearing your Quran shirt? He may be offended and blow on another woman's. But JJ, you know what? Do you want that? No. No, we don't want that. We're mewing and we're proud of that. Your crusade, my bad. I'm what in the world? Your crusade.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, one Muslim can outrun. That's a new quotation from Ali Dama. One Muslim can outrun any Christian. Yeah, one Muslim can outrun 100 Christians. If there was 100 Christians and one Muslim, he would outrun them all.
Ali Dawa didn't show because he had a sore stomach from all those grapes he was eating.
All those grapes that smiles to be grape in his mouth with you. Next time in UK, throw gang signs, confuse everyone. Anthony can't help it. If you look when Anthony speaks, like Like even when I'm skimming through a clip to find the parts I'm going to go, it looks like he's flashing gang signs the entire time.
You know, my wife, she learned a long time ago, if she came up to me at church and I was talking to somebody, she had to put her hand on my shoulder to let me know she's there so she wouldn't accidentally take a stray hand.
You gouge someone's eyes out with that stuff. Let's see. Sunan Ibn Majah 2980, nasty but relevant right now. Sunan Ibn Majah 2980. We began our talbiyah for Hajj only with Allah's Messenger, and we did not mix it with Umrah. We arrived in Mecca when 4 nights of Dhul Hijjah had passed, and when we had performed tawaf around the Kaaba and Sa'i, blah, 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 commanded us to make it Umrah. We came out of Ihram and have relations with our wives. We said there are only 5 days until Arafah. Will we go out to it with our male organs dripping with semen? The Messenger of Allah said, I am the most righteous and truthful among you, and were it not for the sacrificial animal, I would have exited Ihram. So, talking about dripping with semen. like Muhammad every day.
That brought AP to life.
Finally, now we know what AP pays attention to.
Dripping.
It's only the disgusting stuff that AP is like, what? Wait, what? Wait, who just said what? I had a dream that D. Wood started to give lectures about Islam in schools here in Israel. I think someone should teach the truth about it here. Someone does need to teach the truth over there on Islam, because everyone wants it real friendly, and Islam's not friendly towards you. Make Muslims was slims. Glad you visited. Favorite Bible verse, Anthony? AP, do you have a favorite Bible verse? I know your favorite Bible book, Ecclesiastes, because it's all meaningless. Favorite Bible verse, Anthony?
Yeah, for me, it depends. It depends what's going on. I mean, I'm sure everybody has that where there's issues, and then there's books that address those things. There's verses. So for me, it's just whatever's happening. One of the verses I was thinking about while I was there was the statement in Hebrews where it says that certain people that endured great hardships in life, they endured these things looking forward to a better resurrection. In other words, they realized that enduring affliction for the sake of Christ didn't spell ultimate ruin. In this life, it might mean losing out on certain things, but it meant a greater eternity. So, as I was telling you the other day, I mentioned that who wants to die a normal death? I'd rather go over and and have Ali Dawa or his ruffians do what they're proud of. Right? We're proud of that, and and then meet the Lord.
Hey, that's what's funny. Where is that? Oh, here we go. This made me
also
think
have
of
a favorite Bible verse, by the way.
Oh, okay, what is it? You have a favorite verse?
Yep, I actually didn't think that I did, but when you asked me that question, I immediately thought of one verse that made me feel actually surprised and good, because it was so different from what I know from the Quran, which is it's Deuteronomy 10:19, which says, and love the foreigner, for you yourselves were once foreigners in the land of Egypt. So I don't know. I remember when I first read that, I was kind of amazed a little bit by that, and the surrounding passages and the whole sentiment of that.
And that's something that can resonate with a foreigner, because you've kind of always been a foreigner, right?
Yes.
You're a foreigner in Germany, and then you're Turkish, but you go to Turkey, but then it's like, okay, well, I've been raised in Germany, so I'm a foreigner even in my own land, and then you go to the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, doesn't get more foreigner than that. You are possibly the most foreigner I've ever met in my life.
Yes.
And so it makes sense that you would like that verse. Hey, check this out. Muslims be like, you see, D. Wood walked away from the sheikh. You know what's funny? You know they always have to put a spin on something? There's actually, when I go up and I extend my hand, if you look it up, On the Muslim channel, it's David comes and begs forgiveness from Muslims. David begs for forgiveness from Muslims. I'm standing there in a Quran shirt with checkmate jihadis. Right after I was just blasting away at Muhammad for being a child molester. I go over and extend my hand to a sheikh, mainly to show everyone he's not going to shake it. And you see, David is begging for forgiveness. You've got to love these guys, man.
But if you were begging forgiveness, the fact that he didn't extend his hand to you shows that Islam is not a forgiving religion.
Mm-hmm. No forgiveness. They wouldn't forgive me. Now I'm going to be even more aggressive. What is this? He was cursed out by Sam during live stream after mistaking me for a Jehovah's Witness. Should I be upset or was cursed out by Sam? I don't know. Is it true AP's wife is now a Christian? Also agree, would love a live reaction to that Shake It Off video. We will do that. Go ahead.
Yes, she is. She is a Christian.
So she finds AP's defense of atheism weak. Yep. Hey, guys, we'll check out a couple videos this weekend. Goat Hub said no one. Oh, we love Mike Winger said no one. That's true. You should wear a Mickey Mouse mask next time. Next time, some of the guys said that. Some of the guys said go there in a mask and go up. They said go there in a mask because lots of guys wear the balaclavas or whatever they're called, and they said wear one of those and go up to these guys. And they'll want to talk to you. They'll want to talk to you. All the dawah booths and stuff, they'll want to talk to you and give dawah. As soon as you pull it off, then they're not going to want to talk to you. And yeah, I do believe that is correct. Me studies biblical Hebrew, but modern Hebrew is questionable. Me sounds out a sentence written in Hebrew in the chat. The chat.
Yeah,
Muhammad is gay.
I saw that earlier. Somebody posted it in Hebrew.
That's funny. David and Anthony, good job on discussions at Speaker's Corner. I've watched many Christians dominated. Yeah, that's what's crazy. Like I went over there and all these guys acting like I'm a legend over there when I'm thinking any of the guys who go there regularly would be better than I am just because I'm not used to that. They're used to it. They're used to that sort of thing. I'm used to making videos in front of a camera with just my wife in the room. That's what I'm used to doing. But no, it was fun. It was pretty dope and fun. Uh-oh, AP is distracted. Now we can talk about this little weakling and he can't hear what we're saying. 3 YouTube geniuses and comedians, and sorry, AP is the donut third wheel as the agnostic. When AP converts, you 3 will be the titanium 3-wheeled T-Rex vehicle. A weird comment.
The juggernaut.
AP. AP's mewing streak going strong, indeed.
What's all this mewing about? I'm missing the inside joke.
They were telling me to do it. I couldn't figure out what they were telling me, right? And I was worried. See, when I was standing there, I'm sitting there. Siraj is running his mouth and stuff, and I would yell stuff, and then I would just sit there and like Ananda and one or two other guys, they were going, go like this, go. And so I was doing. I didn't know what it meant, but I was wondering like, what does this mean? And I was thinking like one of those Glasgow smileys. You remember that? This thing they used to cut your face. And I'm like, I hope I'm not telling everyone I'm going to cut this. I'm going to slice this dude's face or something like that. But anyway, people said it's apparently a thing like on TikTok. If you don't want to talk to someone, you go shh, and then something like this or something like this means I'm mewing. It's where you gnaw on the thing to change your jawline or something like that. I don't know.
Huh.
Jihad that like button. Yes, wage terrorize that like button, everyone. The sad thing is Siraj's blasphemy overlooked on what he said about the Lord Jesus. I wonder how many rebukes he got for this. most holy secular month. On the issue of him talking about Jesus, like go to the comments on his videos, the Muslim channels that posted the video where he's saying this stuff. They don't call him out. He's sitting there saying, Jesus is transgender. Jesus had breasts and stuff. They don't call him out. Why is that? True colors, ladies and gentlemen, true colors. All right, we got a couple more, but let's go ahead and watch the video.
True colors.
How you doing, AP?
What? Oh, good.
You come in here.
AP's here.
Yeah, you come in here all quiet and low energy.
I agree.
That's why you need a giant mug of coffee like the Dizzle. I get there. I put a couple iced coffees in there, and I've got those little Stoke espresso shots. I toss a couple of those in there, and I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. All right. Let's watch a bit from Chris, because Chris is on the ground over there. Chris is one of the guys who's holding it down regularly over there, and people run from him. People run from Chris. He's gone up to Hamza, and Hamza has agreed to debate him when Hamza's by himself and he's live and stuff. Yes, I will debate Chris. I will debate Chris. Chris goes right up to him and says, hey, let's go ahead and have that debate you said you were going to have. And he refuses. Chris even offered, and I can't even fathom this. Chris said, I will debate you on anything. Anything. Hamza still wouldn't do it. That's fear. That is fear. But let's go ahead and watch a little. Let's go ahead and watch this, because this is the Speaker's Corner world, and it ties together very nicely with the stuff that me and AP have been talking about for a while. But let's check out a little of this.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. In this video, I'm going to talk about the amazing things that happened all last week. As you can tell, my voice is kind of dead. I did a lot of shouting, and I mean an extremely unusual amount of shouting for me. Usually I just speak at normal level. Well, the last few days, particularly on Sunday, I've had to do a lot of talking, and on Sunday in particular, I had to do a lot of shouting, and it was all worth it, and it was absolutely amazing. So what am I talking about? I am talking about a particular conference that Christians around the world were invited to attend, where we got the chance to collaborate, make content with lots of different creators. Not only that, but we also got a chance to give particular talks online about how to give Christian polemics against other ideologies, but with a particular focus on Islam. We always hear about how important it is to know apologetics, but often we don't talk about the other side of the coin, that is polemics. This conference was dedicated to giving Christian evangelists the tools they need to attack Islam as well as defend it. Now, as of yet,
yeah, AP, you're not too familiar with this. Polemics, not very popular in a lot of churches. What are your thoughts on this, Anthony?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's something helpful about using the term polemics to bring out something, but I don't think of it as something additional to apologetics. I think it's the term apologetics is not given to be a comprehensive term covering all that a Christian is supposed to do in the course of carrying the gospel to others and so forth. It's just one term together with others that fill out what the apostles did and what Christians are called to do. So Christians in the course of proclaiming the gospel have to defend it when it's attacked, but they also necessarily are opposing that which opposes the gospel. So we are to confront it, refute it. So you see the apostles doing this. They're not only reasoning for the truth of Christianity, but they're giving arguments against that which opposes it. So the famous example is Paul in 2 Corinthians 10, where he says that we tear down everything that is erected against the knowledge of God, and we take it captive to the obedience of Christ. So, but the way that Jay often does this is he acts like it's an additional thing beyond apologetics, and I think this is good because it's just a neglected aspect of apologetics, and you know, people shy away from going after the bogus claims of Islam, and they shy away from saying it pointedly as it deserves. So, for example, when we say Muhammad was a pedophile, when we say that he was a scurrilous individual, somebody you wouldn't want to live next door to, somebody that people on, when somebody eats the Quran, when somebody does something to desecrate it, those are the sorts of things that are included in polemics. So Jay has been emphasizing that, and he's been doing that, right? He's challenging some of the historical claims, challenging when we go after the Quran and say there are holes in the narrative, that the Quran hasn't been perfectly preserved, it hasn't been transmitted accurately through the ages, that there are variations and those variations are substantial and so forth. All that is polemics. It's not just saying, your arguments against Christianity aren't true. It's saying, here's why your religion is a sham and nobody should believe it.
So Christians definitely did that in the past, but in recent decades here in the West, apologetics has just become mainly defending Christian claims, whereas in Islam, it's like polemics against Christianity are built into the system. And so once Christianity, and it's not something that was built into Christianity. It's just what Christianity sort of became. Just several decades ago, it became the idea in the West that the worst thing you could do is hurt anyone's feelings, and a lot of Christians adopted that idea. You can defend Christianity if someone asks you, but you don't want to hurt anyone's feelings by attacking their position, and so don't ever attack someone else's position. But then Islam comes along, and their defenses of Muhammad and the Quran are complete nonsense garbage. They're all lies. I mean, it's lies. They would defend the Quran by literally making things. Oh, it's perfectly preserved right down to the letter. They can only defend it by making things up. But their actions built into the system to be constantly attacking Christianity. It's in the Quran, and Muslim da'is train people to attack Christianity. And it's just a position you don't want to be in. You don't want to be in a position where they've got the most obvious false prophet in history and a completely idiotic book, and everything they're saying to defend their position is lies, but you don't attack it. So you never expose these lies. And all you do is defend when they attack, and it makes it look like they've got the strong case and you're on the defensive constantly. And it's just stupid. It's a stupid position to be in. So yeah, Jay and a lot of others and us here, we say that's got to change. That's got to change. We've been changing it. And fortunately, people have seen over the past 15 years or so that polemics can be very, very effective. A little more from Chris here.
Or at least as of the time that I'm recording. There isn't any online videos you can find, or at least of me anyway, or at least that I've bothered to search for, where you can see people give speeches. I was honored in that I was invited to be one of the guest speakers at the conference. I got to talk about my perspective at Speaker's Corner, as well as the things that I've been studying regarding the historical origins of Islam and the perfect preservation of the Quran. Spoiler, it is not perfectly preserved at all, which I'm guessing comes to no surprise to anyone at this point, but if you're new to the channel... Ooh, I touched my mic and that may have just broken everything. Okay, if you're new to the channel, I do not believe that the Quran has been perfectly preserved. I think that's a lie, and Muslims, you should know this. Watch my other videos if you're interested. So at some point, those videos of me giving these guest talks will be online, and you guys can watch them and enjoy them. I'll probably also mirror them on my channel as well. The conference was very well attended. We had some amazing people from around the world.
That's
Dr.
true.
J. Smith from Fanda Films, God Logic, David Wood, Anthony Rogers, Daniel Apologetics, as well as all the normal people that you'd expect to see who give evangelism in London, in the UK.
Oh yeah, Anthony. I was me and AP yesterday on his channel. Was that yesterday? No, that was the day before.
No, that was the day before. Yeah.
We went through the video Daniel Apologetics posted where it was the Towards Eternity interrogation. But I was telling him that I didn't know what was going on. I walked into that room because I'd spoken in that room earlier, and I walk into the room and they've got the spotlight in your face. And I'm like, what's going on here? And then Daniel Apologetics goes, so, Mr. Rogers, how can you believe in Christianity, which teaches 1 + 1 + 1 is 1 or something? He said something like that. And I was like, oh, this is brilliant right here. This is smart.
So I don't have the background for some of this, right? I didn't know that Ali Dawah had done what he did, and this is what they were mirroring this off of. And so I'm just sort of answering the questions. They tell me it's an interrogation. It's not until after the fact that I realized the genius of it all. And so, yeah, it was funny.
Oh, so you don't even know the background. We're just, hey, we're going to put you down here.
Now I do. I've seen it and all that. But somebody was showing me videos of Ali Dawah afterwards. But one of the things he started off saying to me, he said, some people have said to me that, and I forget what he said.
Is this your Russian accent? Because that is the worst Russian accent I've ever heard in my entire life.
Yeah, that
I couldn't even tell that you're doing an accent.
I couldn't either,
So-
except I know the story. I know I was there, and I was like, they didn't sound like this.
well, I won't give away what happened, but yeah, no, he was good. He did a good accent. I was impressed.
Yes, just so everyone knows, it's way better than Anthony's pale impression of his accent.
At Speaker's Corner every week. So you had Bob, Thomas Apologia, Sig, Ananda, pretty much everyone who you could imagine was there. And also, if I've forgotten anyone, I am deeply sorry. I'm just listing names at the top of my head. I'm pretty sure I've probably forgot some people, but my apologies, you know who you are. Everyone there was amazing. So you can expect to see that content come some point in the next few days or over the next week or something. We also made some, I guess you could kind of say like comedy content. I've just put up a trailer. I will link to it here or here, somewhere there'll be a link to it, where I just have some clips of all the different people we interviewed in the style of Towards Eternity, that well-known Muslim channel. You know, where there's like two Muslim guys who are Russian for some reason, like to interview Muslims and give them really high...
AP, you've said that is what a Turkish accent sounds like, right? It sounds like Russian? or that it sounds different to you, but it sounds the same to us?
It sounds completely different to me. I know very well when I hear a Russian accent, and I can hear immediately a Turkish accent. They sound nothing alike to me, and I don't get it. I don't understand how you were saying they sound the same.
It apparently sounds Russian to everyone except you. Everyone on the planet except you.
I don't know.
I don't know either, but okay.
Very weird.
Questions. Yeah, well, we basically parodied that and we have our own version, but instead of boring Ali Dawah and Muhammad Hijab, we have all the greatest Christian apologists ever. And I'm not just saying that because I'm one of them who was recorded, but we genuinely did. So like David Wood, Anthony Rogers, all the big guys, God Logic, everyone. That'll be coming out soon, whether on my channel or others. Keep a lookout for it. We basically just have so much content we have to edit. This stuff takes time. But it was amazing. And then finally, after the conference was done, we all went to Speaker's Corner on Sunday. And I'm sure you guys have probably seen the videos by now. We managed to have, probably for the first time, I mean, I'm sure it's not the first time, but the first time in a long time, more Christians there than anyone else, than any other group, including Muslims. It was the first time I actually saw a kind of apathy and a reluctance to do anything by the Muslims there. Like,
that is very interesting. So, guys, Chris is there. Chris is a regular there. He's pointing out that he's never seen the Christians outnumbering everyone else, and he's saying that the Muslims basically shut down over it. So that is interesting. But
the Muslims, they were just sort of sitting around, even the cameramen were just sort of sitting around like, okay, well, we don't want to engage with these people like David Wood when they realized David Wood was there, God Logic, Anthony Rogers. They didn't, Vocab Malone was there as well.
Aha.
They didn't really know.
It's a good thing they did not recognize him. That's funny. We found out over time they weren't recognizing Vocab. And that's good because that was a concern. What if they find out that the guy who plays Prophet Muhammad in Muhammad's boom boom room was there on the ladder, and Vocab's up on the ladder with Jay. So
what to do, so they just sort of pretended they weren't there, which, great. I mean, that's one way of doing it, I guess. But what it allowed for us to do is to have very engaged crowds. There was chanting. There were declarations that Christ is king. It also happened to coincide with a protest that was organized the week before, because the week before a Christian was almost set on fire at Speaker's Corner and a Bible was torn up. So there was a response to that. But all this...
By the way, I started wondering, because everyone's talking about how they're getting more and more violent at Speaker's Corner. But think about it. It's... the Dawah guys are getting really ticked off that it's not as easy to do their Dawah because now people expose what they're saying. And then you've got guys who are resorting to violence. And it's like, do they understand that the Dawah is just not going to work? And so we just have to, or is it the violence could be an effort to maintain the sort of Muslim majority, because mostly Muslims who show up. And they might want to they might want to warn Christians off with violence. So they might want Christians not showing up so that they can keep their dominance and act like they're winning there. And so, I don't know. It's just interesting. It may be I don't know, maybe part of a plan.
Wait, somebody tore up the Bible at Speaker's Corner.
Yeah, so there's that. They tried to set a guy on fire. Apparently,
Who tried to rip up a Bible?
Muslims, and I think they turned over a table last week. They flipped over Christian table with Christian resources on it. That's the stuff I didn't see. That I didn't see that. I haven't watched the footage or anything. These are just the things I kind of heard over the past couple days. So. But yeah, I don't know exact. Does anyone know the exact details? Like anyone in the chat who's over there, do you know exactly what happened? Because I just kind of heard a couple of things. So Michael says, yeah, they ripped up someone's Bible. Wait a minute.
That's why you just memorize it and go there with nothing in your hands.
I have to say, I wasn't gonna do this, guys. You bring this on yourselves. You bring this on yourselves. You sit there and you go and you rip up a Bible, and then you want us to respect your book. How does this work? Tell me how this works. I want to know how this works. Why is tolerance and good behavior and so on always just one directional in your religion? I don't know. What are you doing, AP? Are you trying to burn something?
He didn't hear you.
No, I just got myself.
Don't mind us.
Yeah.
No, I'm still looking at the.
Here's the Quran. Look at this.
What?
Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this.
Apostate prophet defends the Bible by ripping up Quran.
Look at this. Look at this. Oh no.
Ooh. See, we weren't going to do this.
It's cleaned up here. And
We weren't going to do this.
Now I'm doing this again.
We weren't going to do this.
Look at this one. This is fantastic, by the way. Look at this one. Remember this Quran?
What the heck is? Oh yeah, I remember that one. Shh. It's good you got it.
Quran.
It's good
And
you got it.
been doing some serious reading.
Yeah.
AP reads it. AP reads the Quran super hard. Anyway, guys, the lesson is always the same. Stop telling everyone to respect you and your religion and your book and your fake prophet and all this stuff, while all you do is heap abuse and insults and threats and violence on everyone else. It's not working anymore, guys. Not working. You want respect? Learn to give respect. And if I had the most obvious false prophet in history, and if I were part of the most fragile group in the world, the group that loses its mind the moment anyone criticizes it, I would probably try to be the nicest people in the world and not trying to pick fights with everyone. Just a little valuable tip there. Let's get back to Chris here.
And a total different change in energy, and it was beautiful to see. I really wish that we would just keep seeing that every Sunday, because it would be an absolute joy. Rather than seeing two or three Muslims for every one Christian, it was flipped. It was 3 Christians for every 1 Muslim. So there was no way they could crowd and swamp and prey on people anymore. They instead had to deal with the opposite effect. They had to deal with the fact that they were completely outnumbered. They couldn't really do the typical Dow tricks. As always, there was some violence. The only one I saw, and this is as far as I'm aware, there was only one case of violence. There was a guy who wasn't happy that there were so many Christians chanting Christ is King, because, gosh, having to deal with chanting, I wonder where we get that. I wonder where we see that every week on Sunday at Speaker's Corner. But he didn't like it, so he decided to take his belt off and decided to whip people. He decided in particular, I think, to whip Sig, the black guy. Yes, they did try to whip him. And no, I don't think they were thinking...
Hey, you remember Kenny Bomer did that. Kenny Bomer threatened to whip this black guy who called him out for being a jerk towards a woman.
Oh, and, yeah.
He's like, don't make me pull my belt off and whip you.
Wait a minute, that actually happened? When you were there, somebody actually took out their belt and.
Yeah, I didn't see it. The protest was in kind of a different area. We were trying to stay where we could have conversations. There was a Speaker's Corner is pretty big, so yeah, there was an area where it was mainly a protest and so on, and we were we were in a different area. But yeah, video footage showed a guy. He pulls his belt off, and he starts whipping one of the guys.
See, if somebody did something like that to Muslims, they would all be talking about it.
It'd be international news for like the next 2
Why
weeks.
is nobody? Why am I not even aware of this?
Yeah, it doesn't fit the narrative.
About how that's going to look in terms of optics afterwards. But anyway, they were quickly removed by the police, so that was sorted very quickly. I got a chance to be on the ladder with Jay Smith, and it's the first time I was ever on a ladder. I had to meet the same level of energy as Dr. Jay Smith, and
That's
I tried so much. I was able to do a good amount of volume for a long time, but eventually my voice was dying. I truly tore my voice to shreds.
To shreds, you say?
During Speaker's Corner on Sunday, but it was.
And Jay is kind of the goat as far as his voice being able to carry. I was there, I don't remember when, like 2007 or 2008 or something like that. Went there with Nabil, but me and Nabil were hanging out with the Muslims, and we're approaching the corner, and one of the Muslims, as we're walking up, we hear Jay Smith. like we're still like quarter of a mile away, and we hear Jay Smith. And the Muslim turns to me, and goes, "And I tell you, Jay, he has a jinn that lives in his throat. It gives him the power." So it's just funny to me that they had to attribute Jay's ability to dominate a Speaker's Corner to supernatural causes. He has a jinn that gives him this powerful voice. But they were complaining. They're like, "Man, you try to go to the opposite end of Speaker's Corner so that you can speak, and all you hear is his voice the entire time." So anyway, that's it. Jay got up on the ladder, and then he was having other people up beside him on the ladder and stuff. And so, yeah, Chris was up there. Vocab was up there. Yeah, pretty cool. Cool times.
Worth it. I was showing Muslims the actually, you know what was brilliant? Just a little thing here. There was a Christian sister who came up to me and she said, "Chris, there's a guy who's telling me about the Qur'an and he says little dialects." And she brought me to this guy, this Muslim da'i.
Another perfect example of what we were just talking about. Check this out, guys. So he says he's there. A woman comes up to him, says, "Hey, there's a Muslim preacher, and he's explaining the Qur'an, and he says it's all just different dialects." So what did they used to say? There are no differences, not one letter's difference anywhere. Now people are on to the idea that there are different Qur'ans in different part of the world, different Qur'at. And so they come up with another excuse. Oh, these are just different dialects. These are just different dialects. So she didn't know how to respond because that's what the dawah is. If you don't know anything, to tell you perfect preservation right down to the letter. If you know a little bit more and you know there are different Qur'ans, then you come and say, "Hey, what about all these different Qur'at I've heard about?" "Oh, yeah, that's just dialects." They're going to keep telling you a new lie until they find an area where you don't know anything. And then they'll say, "Oh, you see, that solves the problem because you don't know any better." Anyway, she went up to Chris, said, "Hey, I don't know how to respond to him. He's saying it's just different dialects. Watch what happens."
Beautiful. It was so beautiful. Everything about it. He was obviously telling fibbies, and she knew he was because she was also at the conference.
Fibbies.
So she had heard these kind of talks that I had given about the different Qur'at and the different Aruf, and yes, that is one of the talks I did. And she obviously thought, "Hey, I know this is terrible, but I'm just going to quickly grab Chris and let him explain it." As soon as he saw me, he said, "I don't want to speak to you. I do not want to have anything to do with you." And I thought, hang on a second. You're telling someone about the Qur'an who doesn't know about it, and she admits, "I don't know enough about it." But then when someone who does know stuff about it, who's looked into it, who has resources they can share with you about it, you don't want to hear that person. That tells me they were never sincere. Never sincere. And it was hilarious. I showed him different Arabic and he refused to comment on the different Arabic and pretended that all of a sudden he couldn't read Arabic. He could read Arabic when it was convenient and he was asking me, "Do you know Arabic?" But as soon as I asked him to read the Arabic, then it became a little bit of a problem. It turned out he actually wasn't really that good at reading Arabic, really. Especially...
You guys catching this? So, I mean, it's absolutely amazing. Like, what does it take before people realize what they're dealing with the dawah guys, that these guys are compulsive liars? So this guy tries to tell the woman about the perfect preservation of the Quran. She says, "Oh, no, there's different Qur'at." And he says, "That's just different dialects." She goes and gets Chris, smart. Chris comes over there. Guy doesn't want to have a discussion with him. And then Chris shows him the Arabic, says, "Hey, why don't you go ahead and read this?" What's he going to do? He's going to say, read it in this version and read it in that version. Tell me that's just a different dialect. And the guy, "Oh, no, I can't read Arabic. I can't read Arabic." Welcome to Dawah.
and there are different Arabic sentences from the same Quranic verse that contradict each other. Then all of a sudden, he's very bad at Arabic. But either way, Siraj came, the tiny criminal, and his favorite hobby is being escorted from Speaker's Corner for being overly aggressive. But on this occasion, his other hobby...
Siraj, overly aggressive? He's like, what, 4 feet tall?
It probably does it and gets away with it when Muslims dominate the corner.
Interesting. So anyway, yeah.
He was very docile this time.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, seriously, think about that. He gets escorted away from the corner, according to Chris. He gets escorted away from, he's known for getting escorted away from the corner for being too aggressive. I'm sitting there in a Quran shirt, calling Muhammad a child molester right beside him and putting my arm around him. And what's he do? That's the power of the Quran shirt, ladies and gentlemen, the power of the Quran.
He's trying to troll Christians and to disrupt evangelism. So he wanted to disrupt me. And I thought, okay, you know what, I'm going to take this, but I'm not going to pivot from one question. That is, why does the qira'at have different meanings and why do they contradict? So I brought it up, I showed it on my phone, and I showed everyone around. And the whole Muslim audience was quiet. They couldn't figure out an explanation. There was another Muslim da'i called Yemeni who was trying to explain to Siraj that the example he was giving, that the Aruf are literally the Qira'at and that the Qira'at are nothing more than dialects, was factually wrong from a basic Islamic point. But Siraj is quite prideful and didn't really want to hear it. So he just talked about the Bible, you know, the classic tukokwe whataboutism that Islam fundamentally is. And after asking him what the Aruf are and him not being able to give an answer, I left that and thought, that's beautiful as it is. And I went round to many da'is because I wanted them to understand something. I wanted them to understand that the Christian YouTuber who does polemics against Islam, the largest, most well-known, most well-sourced, most well-referenced person who that is here at Speaker's Corner today. You can humiliate him with your superior religion that you believe is better, and you can demonstrate it through argument. That's why you're here. That's why you do dawah at Speaker's Corner, that place of debate. For hundreds of years, here's your big moment. Here's your opportunity. Not a single one of them wanted to go anywhere near him. They stayed the hell away. At one point, I saw Mansour walk past David Wood, and he looked at the crowd, because there were crowds by David Wood, who would have guessed. And, you know, he's quite small, but he got on his tiptoes and he saw him, and then he carried on walking.
He got on his tiptoes. Wait, hey, this is interesting. So Chris is saying he was going around to all the Dawah guys saying, hey, David Wood's over there. David Wood's right over there. Come on, come on. And wow, that's...
Yeah.
Huh?
There's no way he didn't know the people that were there. Certainly you, and there's just no way he didn't know that.
That is interesting. I mean, it's just interesting that Chris is going around to all these guys saying, "Hey, now's your chance. There's the Dizzle. The Dizzle's over there in his Quran shirt." Let's see what he says again. Mansour did.
Place of debate for hundreds of years. Here's your big moment. Here's your opportunity. Not a single one of them wanted to go anywhere near him. They stayed the hell away. At one point, I saw Mansour walk past David Wood, and he looked at the crowd, because there were crowds by David Wood, who would have guessed. And, you know, he's quite small, but he got on his tiptoes and he saw him, and then he carried on walking. He didn't want anything to do with that. Mansour actually debated God logic. But here's the interesting thing. If you watch the debate, and pay attention to the beginning part, it's on God Logic's channel, by the way, you should check it out. It's got over 100,000 views already. Mansour asked some questions that imply that he didn't really know who Avery is, who God Logic is. He said things like, is this your first time at Speaker's Corner? Now that's an interesting question. Because they've already agreed to debate, right? So why is he asking him, is this your first time here at Speaker's Corner? It's almost as if he wants to make sure that he doesn't have prior experience of debating at Speaker's Corner. And of course, Avery answered truthfully. He said, no, I've never been a Speaker's Corner before, because he hadn't. So I think that Mansour foolishly thought that this man was just a newcomer to Speaker's Corner, when in reality, he's one of the best debaters on YouTube, particularly against Islam. And Avery demolished him. It was brilliant. Wow. Really watch that video. I can't big it up enough. It was truly amazing. David.
I think, I could be wrong, but I think Mansour on his channel has it like this thumbnail suggesting that he destroyed Avery, which I didn't see the discussion, but I'm just thinking typical Islamic tactic, say you won no matter what. I don't think there's any question these guys weren't dominating anybody at any point that entire day.
The exchange doesn't make sense to me, because He said that Mansour asked, "Is this your first time at Speaker's Corner?" And then God Logic apparently said, "No, I haven't been here before." It doesn't make any sense.
That's your takeaway, AP.
Yeah.
There is an important takeaway here in this, and Chris's video is just a little bit longer, but it's mostly Muslims who show up to Speaker's Corner, and this gives them the ability to sort of surround a Christian and heckle him. And I've seen, you guys have seen the videos where it's Hatun and maybe one guy who's standing there to guard Hatun in case they do something, but then like 50 or 100 Muslims around her, right? And we've seen that sort of thing over and over again. And then they think, we're stronger than you. But what just happened this past Sunday? If Christians actually show up, they can dominate and shut down the dawah. The dawah just grinds to a halt if a bunch of Christians show up. So one, there's that lesson. Hint, Christians in the UK, get active with some of these guys. One, you should be following these guys on YouTube. So who have we covered here already? There's Chris, Speaker's Corner, and Ananda, Apologetics. So follow those guys, but get to know some of those guys, right? Even if you're completely new, even if you don't want to jump on a ladder or get into debates, just being part of the Christian group that shows up. If you're over there and you're close enough to where you can get there on a regular basis, you should be getting there on a regular basis. Now, some people don't want to be recognized, especially if they're local, because they don't want to run into one of these guys later on and so on. Guess what? There are people like that who, because of their job or because they're local, they don't want to get attacked. They show up in masks and they show up in like balaclavas and so on. So you could do that too. Anyway, point is, if we know we can dominate that area and take away that little feel-good time they have where they shout people down, why wouldn't we do that? Take it away. Take away. Ev, don't give them an inch. Not an inch. Understand? Let's let Chris finish here.
It's particularly against Islam. And Avery demolished him. It was brilliant. Really watch that video. I can't big it up enough. It was truly amazing. David Wood wore his famous, well, I'll say famous, it's now famous, I guess, shirt with the Quran verses written on it, which was amazing. Siraj tried to troll David, which is kind of the only thing they have. But it didn't really work because it just gave David more of a platform to just explain his thoughts on Muhammad. So really, Siraj is just giving David a bigger platform.
I wouldn't say I explained my thoughts on Muhammad. I did say some things about Muhammad, though.
Which was brilliant. So thank you for that, Siraj. And overall, the day was just amazing. We all had fellowship and communion afterwards. It was just beautiful. There wasn't a single part of it that I don't think couldn't have gone any better. There were some amazing people at the conference as well, just to mention. Some really intelligent speakers. We had some of the world leading specialists at the conference who gave talks about Islamic origins and crown preservation, etc. It blew my mind. I still need to read, and I have a ton of more things to read. Thanks to, in particular, to a certain person who's been a long-time supporter of me. You know who you are. Thank you for all the books. But other than that, I thought I'd just give my opinions. Hopefully this has been fairly brief.
Thank you,
I wonder how long this will take to edit. But it was truly amazing. And thank you very much, Dr. J. Smith, for organising that event and for inviting me as a guest speaker. It means a ton to me, and I'm sure it meant a ton to everyone else. It was edifying for not just us, but for everyone who attended. God bless you all. If you're not a Christian yet, then today's the day to become a Christian. If you have any questions about Christianity, send me an email at chris@speakerscorner@gmail.com. Yes, I know it's a funny email. And God bless you all, and take care, and have a great day. God bless.
Wow, 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 wow. The tides have turned, ladies and gentlemen. The tides are
Should
returning.
go there. Really should do this thing frequently. They should be encouraged to go there and to be present in Speaker's Corner. Even those who haven't been there, who don't usually go there to debate, it should be encouraged because of this trend right now, or maybe to just start a trend based on what happened last weekend, to go there in masses, in high numbers, and dominate the space.
And to humiliate. Oh,
yeah.
Sorry.
To dominate the space and not allow the Muslim side to think, we dominate this place, this is our place, soon we will take over and kick the others out. So that would be good. It'd be nice.
And guys, it's actually pretty easy. I mean, when there were people who wanted to have a calm discussion, I was, and sadly that wasn't most of the Sunni Muslims there, but I talked to some Quran only Muslims. They were very nice guys, so I had a nice conversation with them. Then when there were the hecklers, if you're sitting there having a nice conversation, there are the hecklers who are trying to distract you and yell things. And whenever they would say something, I would just start going, me strong than you, you weak, me strong, weakling, you weakling, right? I just kept, doing the caveman type thing. And then they would get bored and leave. They would get bored of me making fun of them for acting like cavemen, and they would leave. And then you have the guys who walk up to you and act like they're going to control you. And this is what we're going to do. Is I was going to say you're running from me. And I just start yelling, Muhammad's a child molester. And so, guys, that's pretty easy. Keep in mind, depending on where you're at and what the situation is. I'm not saying start calling Muhammad a child molester or something like that. You could reserve that for people like me or something like that if you don't want to get knocked out while you're walking outside the park. But
I calling Muhammad a child molester.
Yeah, that's true. Now, if everyone does it, then what are they going to do? It's still boggling my mind that they're saying all these guys that the violence has been ramping up, and there are these guys who get in trouble for attacking people and stuff like that. And I'm standing there in a Quran shirt, completely indestructible. Take note. All right. We'll check out a couple more super chats here, and then we'll watch a little bit of Anthony's discussion with Siraj, where Anthony got humiliated by Siraj's big brain. Little body, but huge brain inside that little 4-foot body. Someone was saying, so God's daughter earlier, because I asked people what happened last week. God's daughter said a guy snatched the Bible, ripped off the pages, and was stepping on the torn pages. Interesting. Wait a second. Someone's responding to Doors 3 about Rebecca. Did Doors 3 come over and argue that Rebecca was 3? Because that'll be real hard to refute, guys. I don't know how we'll ever refute that. That'll be so hard. Wait, where's Doors 3? Yeah, how are we going to respond to that? Dang it, I just saw. No, I can't find it where he's saying it. All right. Take a couple super chats here.
See, David is scared. He's pretending he can't see the argument.
Doors 3. It's so powerful. Joining UMC Church. What is UMC Church? I mean, that's not Marine Corps, right?
I assume it's United Methodist Church, maybe.
Okay. Then why would he say church?
UMC, United Methodist Church.
But the pastor is pro-Palestine, calling for a ceasefire in the name of God. Do you think this could be a deal breaker? Yeah, it's going to depend on what you mean by pro-Palestine. If you mean he's calling for a ceasefire, I think you can have a reasonable position, especially if you don't know a lot. Like, you could look over there and you don't know a lot of the situation and just go, why are they still bombing the crap out of these people and stuff like that? You might not know all the details and so on. So if that's all you mean, I wouldn't consider that a deal breaker. If he's rooting for Hamas to crush Israel or something like that, then yeah. So that's going to be a spectrum of, you could be wrong, but understandably wrong, and you could be wrong and like evil wrong. AP, what's your advice on which church this man should join?
Yeah, I agree.
Sheikh Mike Winjalinge, peace be upon me. Not that a Turk and a hillbilly are any better, but what makes a hobo think he's an expert on Islam? I'll take my tafsir from medical doctors. Sorry. That's a pretty good diss. This is actually this is kind of a brilliant diss because he calls me hillbilly, but the insult towards AP is that he's a Turk. So it's a Turk and a hillbilly are somehow unreliable. But then Anthony's a hobo.
Anthony's a hobo.
And then he says he'll take his tafsir from medical doctors, namely Zakir Naik.
This is a pretty good comment, actually.
That's a pretty good one. That's a pretty good one there. The Muslims turned into a country. Iran. We should have said that. Hey, you guys must be Shia because you're. How do we put that? Because you're clearly Iranian. I don't know. We'll have to figure out how to put it for next time.
It don't work.
We'll make it work. You can always make it fit. My favorite Bible verse is John 10:14. I'm the good shepherd. I know my sheep, and my sheep know me. And that same passage, Muhammad is the thief. Thought the guy in the middle was one of them, lol. You mean the guy in the middle here?
I'm assuming. What's that mean? One of them, Muslim?
Are you? Secretly?
No.
Were you
No,
on a
the
Muslim?
guy.
All of you are very busy doing the. What's that stand for?
Doing the Lord's work. Probably, typo.
Okay, typo. Is that a typo? I thought it stood for something. Doing the Lord's work, even AP, a giant collaboration in the boom boom room with vocab versus Speaker's Corner. He can't handle it. I was telling vocab at Speaker's Corner, I was like, just one. Take someone's scarf, put it over your head, stand up on the ladder and go, welcome to Muhammad's boom boom room. He didn't think that was a good idea. He was probably right, but that would have been, if I had that on video, that would have been legend status right there. Vocab doesn't need it, though. He's already got legend status for some of the other things that he's done. On the good side, ladies and gentlemen, I said I found some SD cards the other day, and I found the missing SD card, which had some missing boom boom room clips that I was looking for. So, unless something really weird happens here in the next couple days, the first one I wanted to post is Muhammad meets David Wood, where we finally settle our differences. The D Wood way.
The mystery of the missing SD card.
Finally found him. It turned out to be in a big envelope in a big mess on my desk. And then my wife cleaned up the mess, and then I had my SD cards. Interesting stuff. Hi, David Wood. A friend of mine says the Quran proves the theory of relativity. He didn't give me a verse, but how do I disprove there's nonsense? You don't disprove it. Take a lesson from the atheists. They're wrong on their not having a position to defend and so on. But they're right in the sense that the person making the claim has the burden of proof on defending that claim. So if your friend says that the Quran proves the theory of relativity, he's got to prove that before you focus on proving anything. And guess what? Guess what? Whatever his defense is, it's going to be stupid. It's going to be very, very stupid. So normally all you have to do is just say, give me the verses and let's go ahead and read them.
You see, David Wood proves that atheism is true.
Atheism is based. AP, be free. Stop the big pharma medicine, bro. ADHD to ADHD Christian. Embrace the light. He will set you free. Have faith.
Alhamdulillah.
Hey, Anthony, do you remember? I don't know. Were they doing that to you, or was that with Avery, where when they're doing the interrogation, the Towards Eternity interrogations, and one of you, I don't remember who it was with, but you would finish something and there'd be this pause and they would just go, Alhamdulillah. Do you remember
They did
that?
all kinds of funny stuff.
They were funny, man. Those guys are funny.
Yeah.
They're funny guys. We now unlocked the new level of lying. It's called Candace on Pierce Morgan. 1.5 hours of Pierce cooking her. I dare you to find one true thing she said. Are you familiar with this, AP? I did not know this happened.
I saw that she was on there, and I thought, man, that must be really, really bad. So I was thinking of watching it and doing a live review, actually.
We
but
could. What?
1 hour and 22
Oh yeah,
minutes.
normally he normally lots of times he does these like 20 or 30 minute, which is kind of perfect for us to go through in a live stream. Maybe
I do
there's
want like hardcore into this, and with a very tough title to the stream of debunking Candace Owens bit by bit. I don't know, and then just go through the whole thing, because I haven't watched it, but I'll probably preview it a little bit. And from how I know her, I mean, I said it for years. I've never liked her. I always thought she's a complete fraud, a liar, a grifter, whatever it is. From what I know of her, she probably has said a lot of nonsensical things on that interview as well, and lied many, many times. So I will preview that, and maybe we could do that.
yeah, so there would be a couple options. So yeah, you would have to check out the video, but one possibility is there's one good section or a couple of shorter sections that you could cut out that we could do in one normal live stream, or two, if we wanted to go through the entire thing, you could break it up, especially if there are different sections to the discussion. We could have multiple live streams, or we could just go crazy and have one like 8-hour live stream one night and go through the entire thing.
Yes.
So multiple possibilities here. End is here. Daniel does better Dawa than Siraj. Which Daniel? Hakikachu?
Wonder if he means Daniel
or
apologetics.
Daniel apologetics.
Yeah.
But what about what does he mean Siraj? Because he definitely does better Dawa than the Towards Eternity guys. David Wood. That's what cracked me up, because it's different when it's right in your face. Did you have problems not laughing?
Oh, well, what was funny is, so these guys, they were quick in figuring out who was going to do what. You know, there were two guys, right? And just right on the spot, they're making up who's going to do what. And I didn't even follow what they were deciding. Mm-hmm. And so one guy would be talking, and suddenly the other guy would say something, and it came out of nowhere. I did want to laugh, but I didn't.
It was because I saw them asking the questions to you, but it's just different with Daniel staring in your face, looking dead serious and trying to look intimidating, and speaking in the Russian accent. And so as soon as we start, he looks at me and goes, Dr. David Wood, you're big Islamophobe. And I started grinning. They got me to break. You're big Islamophobe. Oh man, they're funny. How long would Islam last if Muslims applied their own standards to debates and facts? Everyone get the number get the number of seconds in your mind. Everyone got the number of seconds? Okay, now how many seconds would Islam last if Muslims applied their own standards to debates and facts? What's your answer, Anthony?
Well, first of all, this is where you're supposed to say, if I get the number right, everybody has to subscribe if they're not subscribed already. Right? I don't know if you've seen those videos where the person tries to get people to think of a color, and then they guess it, and they claim that they had some miraculous insight.
No, I don't watch crap. I don't watch crap. I don't watch lame crap videos.
Happens. Yeah, it'd take 5 seconds. 5 seconds.
AP, what do you say?
4 seconds.
Wrong. I said 0. It would take 0 seconds. You were both wrong. You were both close, though. You were both close, though. Keep in mind, we were all within 5 seconds of each other. All of our predictions were within 5 seconds of each other.
You see, can't be a coincidence.
Perfectly preserved. Since I'm the correct, perfectly preserved David Wood.
That's good. Somebody pointed out, somebody said, don't give Candace Owens a platform. Somebody else said something about that. I want to point out one thing, by the way.
She's got a platform.
So first off, we would not be giving her a platform. She has a much bigger platform.
She's bigger than we are.
And I don't want to shy away from insulting people who actually give her the platform right now, because I think that it takes a lot of naivety and a lot of ignorance and stupidity to promote and support somebody like that, who relies on people being misinformed, uninformed, and stupid. But here's the thing: there is one aspect of all the filth and the horrible stuff that she has been doing recently, which should offend Christians more than it would offend me, which is that she has been dishonestly, in a very dirty way, using Christian sentiments and Christian concerns, Christian beliefs to for her own political agenda, for money, to cause controversy and so on. Apparently, she just started selling cups that say "Christ is King" on them with with Candace Owens signed under it, and of course you could at first see this as a gesture, as a matter of faith, as she's proud to be Christian, she's proud to proclaim that Christ is King. Of course, that's not what she's doing. Those who know the context will understand that that she recently went on this whole Christ is King thing because of the Groypers, the neo-Nazis.
Isn't it funny? Those guys are white nationalists.
Yes.
She's not welcome. She's not welcome in their country.
Yeah. She went on this whole thing of saying Christ is King, and then started going to Jews and saying Christ is King, Christ is King. Upon which some people said, it's okay if you say this, but what's the point of going to Jews and saying it at them? It just looks like you're trying to antagonize people. She then twisted it and made it look like the Jews or the Zionists are saying that Christ is King. The phrase is anti-Semitic, and they want to ban it. So she lied and took advantage of that for her own agenda and for money. And now she's even, because she made that whole controversy, she's even selling merch which says Christ is King and her own name on it, and thereby actually using this Christian phrase and Christian concerns and Christian sentiments for money and for her political agenda. I think Christians should be the first to go out there and speak about and speak out against her and stop her from doing what she's doing. I shouldn't be the one who is so concerned about this or who is so offended by this. She is a pretty horrible individual.
So, guys, AP, the agnostic, former atheist, but now agnostic, has pointed out that basically if you see a grifter using Christianity, then that should tick you off as a Christian, and you should be jumping in there to say something about it. Something along those lines? Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
you heard it here.
You heard it here first.
No, it's kind of weird because on the one hand, I want to say, okay, see, even the agnostics are pointing out that you should be jumping in there. On the other hand, who the heck is some mule-brained agnostic to tell us how we're supposed to live as Christian? Notice I didn't say donkey brain. That's atheist.
Yeah.
I'm not sure you're up to date on the lingo, Anthony, but atheists are donkey brain, and then
I picked up on this one quickly though.
Yeah, and then if you become an agnostic, you graduate to agnostic, then you get a mule brain, and then when you become a Christian, you're a mighty stallion.
You're a horse. Stop twisting.
A horse is a horse, of course.
Us, of course.
Yes, attacking lies is extremely important. And guys, this came up. This was interesting. So, Anthony, you guys went out as a group and hung out after Speaker's Corner, right?
Yeah, I was going to mention that because Chris said we all fellowshipped afterwards, and I was thinking, wait a minute, David wasn't there. But it was great. There was we got the whole top floor of this restaurant, and everybody was hanging out, eating, and all the rest.
Must have been nice. Yeah, I got snagged while I was at Speaker's Corner. This guy shows up, and he's like... he's like, hey, can you come speak? Can you come speak? We're having our own intensive training conference. We've got people from around the world who are here to learn how to witness to Muslims. can you come over? And I was like, no, but I'd be happy to come over a different time and talk to you. He's like, no, it's right now. It's right now. They're about to, they'll be gone. They'll be gone by the time you could ever come back. And so I said,
Well-
I'm supposed to go out with a group, check with Jay. And if Jay says it's okay if I go do something totally different, then I'll do it. And he didn't tell me that it was like over an hour away. It was a Christian college. It was over an hour away. So this guy snags me at Speaker's Corner. And I say, just confirm with Jay that it's okay. And then I'll go. And then, of course, they came back and said, yep, Jay says you can go. I really didn't want to go. I was thinking Jay's going to say, no, David has to come over here and we're going to have a good time and stuff. And Jay said, yeah, go. And so then I'm thinking, okay, maybe it's from God. Maybe it's from God. So I went over there and Vocab said he'd roll with me. So I went over there with Vocab. But yeah, they had people from all over the world, bunch of countries in Africa, bunch of countries in Asia and so on. And they were all familiar with Nabil and so on. And so I go over there. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know if I'm going over there and doing Q&A, but it's this long drive in an Uber to get there. We get there and the guy has Vocab introduce me. And so Vocab jumps up there. And then the guy tells me right before he goes, yeah, go ahead and speak for an hour and inspire them. I was like, okay. So I thought I was just going to go up and take some questions or something. I had no idea until he says, go ahead and speak for an hour and inspire them. And I was like, oh, okay. So yeah, I went up there and talked for an hour there, but it was cool. It was cool. So yeah, I'm glad I went. I did not want to go, but I'm glad I went, and I thought I might be glad I went. But anyway, that's what I was doing that night. I forget what led to this. There was a point I was going to make that was part of that, but I don't remember it anymore. What were you saying right before that?
I don't know. Oh, you were talking about donkey, mule, graduating.
No, that was different. That was a different point. It's an important point, a valid point.
Oh,
I forget. It's been a long week, ladies and gentlemen.
we were talking about why you weren't at the restaurant. We were all hanging out.
Yeah, but I brought that up. I brought that up because I was making a point about something that happened when I went and spoke at that Christian school. Anyway, I don't remember. Maybe it'll come back at some other point. Worship of the truth requires fighting against lies. This is a natural part of what Christianity entails. It's a holy thing, for truth sets men free. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think that's what was tying in it, because the previous comment was related to that as well. And it's something that I've said numerous times, but I told the people there that, yeah, it's about what Jay would distinguish as polemics. But I pointed out to them what Nabil said after he became a Christian, when he told me that, we spent, I don't know the exact number, we spent the first 2.5 years of our discussions almost exclusively talking about Christian topics. The death of Jesus, resurrection of Jesus, reliability of the New Testament, the Trinity, the divine nature of Jesus, talking about these topics. And eventually we shifted towards focusing quite a bit on Muslim topics, the reliability of the Quran and the prophethood of Muhammad. And Nabil would give me an argument. He would give some scientific miracle of something Muhammad said in the hadith. And I would say, I want to read that for myself. So I started buying the Muslim sources, started buying Sahih al-Bukhari and Sahih Muslim and so on. And then I would read what Nabil is quoting as some sort of scientific miracle. And then it would be like 1,000 times weaker than the way he presented it, because he was reading it in apologetics books, which are massive Islamic apologetics books, which are massively deceptive, instead of just reading it in the sources. So he's reading it and I would be like, and I go back to him like, did you actually read the entire passage? Because this is all wrong according to science, sport. And then I would find all this other stuff in there and I'd be bringing it back to him. Anyway, Nabil told me after he became a Christian, he said, when we were discussing Christian topics, I eventually concluded Christians have good reasons for everything they believe. They have good reasons to believe Jesus died on the cross. They have good evidence that Jesus rose from the dead. They have good evidence that he's divine. They have good evidence for the reliability of the New Testament. He said, I concluded Christians have good evidence for all of it. While he's still a Muslim, he was thinking we have good evidence because we were going through the evidence. And he said what kept him in Islam was the thought that even if these Christians show me with 99% certainty that Christianity is true, I'm still 100% sure that Islam is true. And therefore, you can't convince him. You can't convince him because he's 100% sure that Islam is true. Why? Well, he thinks you've got this miraculously preserved book and all these scientific miracles and the greatest guy who's ever lived. And he thinks that what he's been told all his life, all these arguments, prove conclusively that Islam is true. And that's what lots of Muslims believe. They believe they have this airtight case. How do you expose that airtight case? Well, that's where polemics comes in, right? You have to blast away. You have to blast away at those lies. And you've got all these Christians who don't want to do it. He's like, no, we just do evangelism. Well, if you're doing evangelism, you're preaching the gospel, and he's 100% sure that Islam is true because of a bunch of lies, and you don't want to attack the lies, you're leaving him completely convinced that Islam is true, and he will never be able to take what you're saying seriously. So why, in the name of common sense, would you not be blasting away at lies? On what planet do you think it's bad to expose lies? Or on what planet do you think that it's okay for your Muslim friend's head to be filled with lies, and you think it's bad to actually refute those lies because you might hurt his feelings? That's weird. That's weird to me. So we should all take AP's advice on Christians standing against Candace Owens.
Amen.
Mr. Bukhari, could you interpret Quran 17:1 as time travel?
That's
I don't think so. I mean,
It is literal.
you could, in the sense that you can interpret the Quran in any way you want, but
the miracle of reinterpretation.
sounds like you're going from one place to another place. So unless you're reading something different there or some different translation, just so everyone knows, that's a passage about that's normally interpreted as Muhammad's night journey, even though it doesn't mention Muhammad there.
Or who took him there.
Mm-hmm.
Blessed is he who took his servant by night. Who's that? And it even shifts, as I recall. It shifts from speaking in the third person to speaking in the first person.
Yeah.
It's a very confused text.
Yeah, well, I know some Quran-only Muslims who interpret that as Moses, because he's the only one who's mentioned in context. It doesn't say anything about Muhammad. But most Muslims think that's about Muhammad.
And there's virtually no connection between the first, second, and third verse. It just suddenly jumps if you don't do something else with it. If you make it Muhammad's Mirage, his night journey or whatever, then there's no context there at all.
Yeah. It is indeed a terrible, terrible book. And Islam is willfully allowing oneself to be enslaved. This is but one aspect of the way it actively defiles the image of God by degrading man. Yeah, that's my understanding of Islam and other false ideologies, that they are here to degrade the image of God. What are you grinning at, Anthony?
I thought that was about to be a jab at AP. I'll let you. Oh.
No one would dare
No one
take a
would
jab.
Hey, you heard of this? Ibn Farouk denied entry into Trinidad. Please Google. You serious?
Ah,
Why would that be?
such a nice guy. Why?
I want that guy.
They-
I want that guy
they don't-
everywhere.
They don't let people into the country that fake stabbings.
Islamic scholar
strict-
deemed undesirable denied entry into Trinidad and Tobago. What?
Sheikh
Why?
Uthman Ibn Farouk. His
Don't they
group
have like a
show that-
large Muslim population or so?
This is from a Trinidad Guardian. Why wouldn't they let him in? That guy needs to be. Oh yeah, his whole group there. Oh, they're showing their denial papers. He was gonna go. I'm surprised he didn't. And here's the knife that they stabbed me with. Caribbean Dawa Association is calling on the government to clarify why the Immigration Division denied Islamic scholar Sheikh Uthman Ibn Farouk entry into Trinidad and Tobago, classing him and his members of his charity group as undesirables. They're undesirables. Now, that is an accurate description of that, but Farouk and his 8-member touring party arrived at Piarco International Airport 1:30 p.m. with plans to participate in a Dawah workshop at the Bamboo Masjid Hall on Monday. The 10-day visit also entailed him lecturing to local Muslims on Dawah skills. Translation, he was going to explain to them how to lie better and inviting people to join Islam. Farouk and his team also plan to participate in hamper drives. I don't know what a hamper drive is. However, Dawah Association President Assad...
People in Trinidad need places to put their dirty laundry too.
Yeah, that's what it is. They need... Sheikh Uthman is going to explain where to put their dirty laundry. They call it hamper. His dirty laundry, like when he banged his friend's... committed adultery with his friend's wife. Remember that?
And here's where you put...
You got to toss that in the hamper.
Yeah, and here's where you put the clothes with the fake blood.
Yeah.
You deposit it in the hamper.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that makes sure. Yeah, that makes sense. You need some hamper drives. Dawah Association president said someone from the immigration division told one of the members they were undesirable to Trinidad and Tobago when they arrived, blah, blah, blah. Group alleged that the immigration personnel said he got an instruction to find any reason to deny them entry and order them to leave on the next flight. Anyway, this article goes on. People can look that up. I do find it interesting. Muslims were cheering when Robert Spencer and Pamela Geller were denied entry to the UK. So, what goes around comes around, ladies and gentlemen. What goes around comes around. Poor Sheikh Uthman. I love that guy, though. David, can we understand sin in almost scientific terms, where there is a phenomenology of morality that exists, just like space-time in our reality, but because of the fall of man, we are cut off from experiencing it in the fullness of what God intended?
Alhamdulillah.
That's a question for an agnostic.
No, I think he's saying he's talking about fall of man and so on. So there is a reality there, and you kind of your experience of it in its fullness is cut because of fall of man. Yeah, you can conclude something like that because you've got physical things, and then you have conceptual things, and so the conceptual concepts, so mathematics, logical laws, moral laws, and so on. They're not things. You don't find them with a telescope or a microscope or something like that. But that doesn't mean they're not real. So they have some reality. But yeah, I think you could view it that way, but I'd have to think more about it. What are you laughing at? They think morality is real.
No, I'm already looking at some of the Candace stuff on the side, and I just learned that she actually several months ago praised the Nazi brown shirts explicitly, possibly because she didn't really know, because apparently she said she referred to them as the brown shirts who went around burning books, the student activists. They actually burned those books for a good reason. That's what she said. She probably doesn't really understand what the brown shirts are, what they were. But anyone who understands the basic history of Nazi Germany should probably know what the brown shirts were. They were
okay,
the malicious people in charge of the Nazi movement. But man, there's so much here. We'll have to do a live stream on this tomorrow.
AP.
Yes.
What do you think Candace is more knowledgeable of? The geographic layout of Jerusalem? or the history of the brown shirts?
That's a very difficult question to answer, considering that, Anthony, are you aware of this? that that Candace actually there's a clip where she says that well we went to Jerusalem and the guy he was describing how here is the Muslim quarter and this is where Muslims are allowed to live. That doesn't sound like that doesn't sound like freedom and democracy and equality. So she actually thought that because there is a place in Jerusalem called the Muslim Quarter, that Muslims are only allowed to live there, nowhere else.
But the way that started when you said went to Jerusalem, and I thought you were about to talk about tying her barak to a section of the temple, and it sounded like an Islamic tale that was beginning. As
No, this is even better.
Yeah, it ends like an Islamic tale too, though. So,
but this is what Candace thought about Jerusalem.
Yep, and did not hesitate to share her awesome insights with all her fans out there.
Now they're all the wiser.
If I was a Muslim and wanted to secretly become a Christian to try out Jesus, what should I do? How can I be saved? How does one become a Christian? Anthony, you're on.
Yeah, first thing, just pick up one of the Gospels. Pick up John, read it. It'll communicate the gospel all by itself to you. John said he wrote it so that you may believe. So he's giving you everything that you need to know for life in Christ. And the simple answer is believe, right? What John relates there is the message, the good news that a person believes unto salvation. So that'd be my simple response.
And Karen has a follow-up super chat here. If you confess with your mouth Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved.
Beast.
Yeah, you should learn that one, Anthony. Immigration turns away Ibn Farouk in Trinidad. Why is everyone celebrating that? I know he's spreading lies, but guys,
over there.
It's like Muhammad Hijab. He goes around lying and stuff, and he dupes a lot of people. But in the long run, they're doing more damage because it's too easy to expose the lies. So we're in this big race where they try to lie in more and more people, but we're getting the ability to expose lies much more rapidly. And they're just going to end up making more ex-Muslims. They're going to get gullible people to convert to Islam, but then those people are going to find out that Islam's not true and they've been lied to.
Yeah, I think people shouldn't be celebrating the whole, being turned away and being denied entry into Trinidad, being rejected from Trinidad because it's just Trinidad. There should be a rejection from the entire earth. So.
But by the way, I liked our version better, but somebody has said in the chat, hamper is what you call baskets of food, which is given out to the poor.
Oh, yeah, ours is better.
Yeah.
Ours is better. He needs a place to put all the dirty laundry. Like after he banged his friend's wife. Sad Baguette 111. The Prophet said, when you feel threatened in discussion, overturn tables to rebuke them. Allah will overturn their virgins to you. That's why they were flipping the table over. Beware of false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravenous wolves. You will know them by their fruits. Yet we see the fruits of Islam. Ripping up the Quran is based iconoclasm. That indeed it is. Samoslogas binas pavaza. I think that's Turkish. Turkish Russian.
Oh, yeah.
Come back to UK more often. It is most needed. I think if the UK just wakes up a bit, they've got plenty there.
So it's going to be the UC, not the UK.
Yeah, it will be the UC. United Caliphate, UC. God bless you guys. It's unrelated, but D Wood, what size shirt are you? I want to gift you a custom shirt depicting Saitama finding someone who likes to trans fast. Also, Avery is a beast, yet Muslims claim he has no proof. Lol. Kind of depends. I'm somewhere I'm right on the border between a 1X and a 2X. So it kind of depends on the brand. Like some brands, 2X fits me perfectly. Other brands, 1X fits me perfectly. Somewhere in there. 27th of July, London. There will be a march against many of the things you gentlemen speak of. In the UK, we are forced to be silent in our own lands. No longer. Tommy is fixing that. So based. We still got more super chats, but I just wanted to watch a bit of this clip of Anthony at Speaker's Corner because here's what's amazing. These guys come out to Speaker's Corner every week of their entire lives, blasting away at the Trinity. And Anthony goes out there and it's like, okay, you guys are, these guys, their arguments have been tried in the fire. They've been using these arguments, honing them, perfecting them for years. So obviously, you're going to get the best of the best. And what did we get? It's sad.
We got the mirage that is Siraj.
It's strange to love Muslims but hate their faith. No, it's not. I mean, just imagine, your kid adopts some weird ideology or something like that. You still love your kid because he's your kid. So, you can do it. It can be done. All right, let's watch a little bit of Anthony's clips when we take the rest of these super chats. You guys ready for this? I want to see if the audio quality is. Anthony's louder than Siraj. Anthony was louder than Siraj, so I tried to boost Siraj's audio. I went through the sections where Siraj is speaking for like 2 minutes, and I boosted the audio. But it also may boost the background noise a little bit. We'll see. We'll see if we can make this out. All right, everyone ready? Where is it? Chris? Sheikh Mohammed. Oh, no, where is it? Hang on. I got to look it up real quick. It's on my computer, dang it. SC clip. Anthony versus Siraj. Here we go.
So the main topic was to justify and prove the existence of triune God.
Over against Tawheed.
Yeah, okay.
That sounds
No
pretty clear.
problem. But anyways, you still believe Tawheed anyways. Tawheed is one God.
Not the Islamic version.
But it's one God.
Not all versions of oneness are the same. Not even in Islam.
No, you don't believe
The
one God.
Mu'tazili, the Maturidi, Ashari, they don't believe the same thing.
No, you believe one
I
God.
believe in one God. I'm saying belief in one God
Yes.
is not in its meaning the same for everyone that says it.
But that's Tawheed, believe in one God anyways.
It's not Islamic
That's the
Tawheed.
definition.
It's not Islamic
Okay,
Tawheed.
anyways, so I want you to
You hear this, by the way? I don't know if AP, I don't know if you're thinking about how you're going to burn up Candace or you're actually listening to that. But we hear this all the time. Jesus was a Muslim. You say, what do you mean by Muslim? Oh, because he submitted to God. Okay, there's more to being a Muslim than that. But here it's, oh, you believe in one God? So that's Tawheed. You believe in Tawheed. So Christians believe in one God. So keep in mind, Anthony, do you believe there's one God?
Yes.
Okay, so hang on. Anthony, you believe in one God. He's saying that's Tawheed, even though you're a Trinitarian. So according to Siraj, if you believe in the triune God and that there's one God, you believe in Tawheed. Now, that sounds so insanely stupid to me. This guy's saying as long as you're a monotheist, you believe in Tawheed. What do you think of that, Anthony?
Yeah, so the point I'm making with him, and I'm trying to cut him off at the pass. I already know the Dawaganda script. They talk people into thinking they're Muslims before they really are Muslims, right? So you see this all the time. You know, oh, you don't believe Jesus is God? You believe there's only one God? Oh, then see, you're already a Muslim. That's fitra. You're on the fitra. And, but the Islamic version of monotheism is its own little animal. It's not the same thing as Judaism's version of monotheism. And even within Islam, and that's the point that I was focused on, there's different ideas of what Tawheed is. The Muslims were killing each other over different definitions of Tawheed. So just pretending it's just one God and that's just is Tawheed doesn't fly at all. The Mu'tazilis had a conception that precluded the idea that Allah had any attributes, that his attributes could be distinguishable from each other or from his essence, and that has certain ramifications. The early traditionists thought Allah had attributes, and that included anthropomorphic qualities like hand, face, shin, and so forth. So that's another entirely different version of monotheism. Then you had the Asharis and Maturidis, who affirmed that he had attributes in addition to his essence, and these are eternal realities. So there's a multiplicity in their deity, but they rejected the anthropomorphic qualities, and they only said he had 7 such qualities. So the fact is, when these guys just say, "Oh, just Tawheed, Tawheed," they're trying to get away with something, and I just didn't want him to do that. I didn't know where he was going to try and take it, so I was trying to head him off at the pass at the beginning.
Yeah, and so you pointed out to him what you just said there, that even according to Islam, there are differences of opinion. But the idea that he's telling you, even though you're a Trinitarian, he's saying you
Right.
believe in Tawheed because you're a monotheist. One, it's good that he acknowledges that Trinitarianism is monotheistic, but even then, it's not Tawheed, dude. So what a stupid way to start a discussion. What an absolutely I don't know what to do, man. It's like every discussion this guy has, he has to start off in the absolute dumbest way possible.
Tell me, Christians, they say that our God is triune God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And here we have Jesus, who has 2 natures, divine nature and man nature. So the man nature has a God. So my question is, who is the divine and the God of Jesus, the man?
So the mistake is assuming that because Christ is both God and man, that we're here dealing with 2 persons
Yes.
when we're not. You said yes, but that's incorrect. As Christians, we believe he's 1 person with 2 natures.
Okay.
Those 2 natures then relate to the Father in distinct ways, but it's the same person relating to the Father. As to his divine nature, he's absolutely one with the Father. As to his human nature, it is distinct from his divine nature. So it's not that there's a separate person distinct. The human nature is not a distinct person, it's a distinct nature.
Okay, I understand that one. My question was, who is the God of Jesus, the man?
He said, I understand that.
Yeah.
And then he goes on to, go ahead.
So I know you're not going to play the whole thing, but what will happen in this debate, and people can go watch it on my channel, is he's going to repeat the same thing 6 times. We start doing a 2 minute back and forth, and each time he has to speak again, he's going to repeat the argument that I just responded to. There's no advance in the discussion, so he'll say he understands, but then repeat himself.
I don't believe that, because this guy is a seasoned da'i. He's going to use laser-like focus to focus on exactly what your points are and demolish them. Watch.
You keep saying the man as though there's a person
The
other
man
than
has a
Jesus.
God, the person Jesus.
The human nature of Christ is that by virtue of which Jesus can refer to the Father as his God.
So the God of Jesus, the man, the human Jesus.
According to Psalm 22,
Yes.
it's the Messiah speaking. It says, "You have been my God from my mother's womb." Not from eternity, but from my mother's womb. From the womb, when he assumed a human nature, it was from that point on that he, by virtue of that, relates to the Father as God. As to his eternal divine nature, he is and always has been God.
Until now, I'm waiting you to answer my question. Who is the God of Jesus?
I answered that.
Who is that? The Father.
The God of
which one?
the
Father,
incarnate,
the Son, or the Holy Spirit? Which one?
God of
those 3.
But that's a category mistake.
You said different persons.
If you're using the term God to denominate the person of the Father, then that's who he's referring to. If you're using the term God to pick out the nature, that's common to the persons. Do you understand basic philosophical distinctions?
No, what I'm saying is, you believe 3 different persons, but as one in essence.
So there are 3 persons who share.
I have to say, this is kind of weird. This is a seasoned Speaker's Corner debater. He seems to have an idea of like a basic definition of the Trinity. But this is clearly like how he's learned to attack the doctrine of the Trinity from all his years of practice. And then you get a complete speaker's corner novice who's thrown into the fire. He's thrown, Anthony Rogers, thrown into the fire, thrown into the lion's den, thrown into the chaos that is Speaker's Corner. And I don't know.
This is the guy, this is the veteran at the corner. This is the guy that Ali Dawa and Muhammad Hijab left everything to ride on that day. This is the one Muslim that could run us all off, according to Ali Dawa.
And no one else wanted to discuss. No one else wanted to discuss things.
Right.
These other guys all had their opportunities to debate you on Trinity, Tawhid, and none of them want to. This is the only one.
There are three persons who share a common divine nature that we can refer to as deity or godhood.
Are they same
But
persons,
there
those three?
are persons that can be referred to in various ways. The Father can specifically be called God. If you're using the term God to refer to the Father, then Jesus can refer to him as his God because he took flesh.
No.
If you're using the term God to refer to the nature common to the persons, then Jesus isn't referring to that when he says, my God.
I will repeat for you again.
Then I'm just going to repeat the same
You
answer.
believe
Do you have a
Jesus-
different question?
No, wait. You believe Jesus, the human, has a God. And your God is the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And these three are different persons. Persons. So these three different persons, which one is the God of Jesus, the flesh?
So, back to the category distinctions that you ignored, but were already supplied for you. The term God in Scripture is used in more than one way, just like the word man can be used in more than one way. Think of the term Adam in the Bible. Adam is the name, on the one hand, for the race. On the other hand, it's used for the first man. So, if I say to you, are you the son of a man? And if I say, are you the son of man, are those the same question?
Well, you know my question doesn't.
Yeah. Okay. So you don't understand. So you
said
might want
three
to
different
move
persons.
on.
He doesn't understand the point. I don't know what to do in a situation like this. And this comes up a lot. What happens if you're having a discussion and you're trying to get them to understand a simple point? Now, what's the point you're trying to get across there by pointing out to him that the term Adam can be used in different ways? Because he doesn't seem to understand anything you're saying at all. And so you try to simplify it by saying, hey, it's just like the word Adam. It's just like that's referring to a specific person, but it also means man. And so you could say, I'm a son of a man, or I'm the son of man. And these would mean different things. You're trying to break down the idea. And you've got a concept, and you're trying to break down the concept, and you're giving him an example to help him understand it. But then he doesn't understand the example. He doesn't understand anything. And how do you even have a conversation with someone who doesn't understand categories, how that a word can have multiple meanings, that there can be distinctions of various kinds? How do you even have a discussion with that?
Yeah, so eventually I do say, after like round 6 or something, I say, if you just repeat the same question again, then this conversation's over. I've already answered this 6 times. But one of the things that got me to persist in the discussion up to that point, with him just repeating all this, is I hated myself. I'm not talking to this guy. There are other people sitting there that are this.
Hold
Totally,
on.
yeah.
Hang on. AP, is he breaking up for you too, or is that on my end?
Yes, he is.
Hey, Anthony, you're totally broken up.
Rude.
Hang on, Anthony. Hang on. You're totally broken up. You're totally broken up. Give your internet a chance to catch up. Now you're frozen. You're frozen.
You're frozen.
Are you still breaking up, Anthony? Go ahead and talk. Oh, you're still breaking up. Do you hear us, Anthony? All right. We'll go ahead and watch some more of this discussion while your internet catches up. Internets fluctuate, Anthony. It happens. It happens. It happens to all of us.
It never happens.
Except to AP. All right, watch a little more of this. Anthony's internet is fluctuating.
You might want to move on to a different question. If you don't understand my answer, you might want to move on to a different question.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
God, I'll repeat for him easily.
Here, you've asked me a question. You've asked me a question. Now let me say something. The real question here, the fundamental question is, what did Jesus say? After that, people can ask who have submitted to him, how do I understand this? How do I work through this intellectually? Because at the end of the day, the fundamental issue is whether or not we're in submission to God. Jesus said very clearly that God is...
Hey, that would be funny. We should start saying this. Hey, the question is, for Christians, is whether we actually submit to God. So you guys submit to God, don't you? And we should say they're actually Christians. We should start pulling their little stunt there.
Father, Son, and Spirit. In Matthew 28:19, Jesus said, baptize them into the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, teaching them to observe whatsoever things I've commanded you. Lo, I am with you always, even to the end of the age. Here, Jesus significantly refers to Father, Son, and Spirit as fundamentally one by virtue of saying, baptize them into the name, ta anama in Greek. It's singular. Baptize them into the name, one name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. So one name, but three recurring articles, signifying the unity of essence and the distinction in personhood. The Christian God is triune and always has been, and by virtue of that, the Christian God is superior. But I didn't finish. The Christian God is superior to the Islamic deity, who is incapable of... Okay, go ahead. I'll let you go.
Okay.
What were you going to say the Muslim God is incapable of?
Well, I was going to show the deficiencies in the Islamic conception of God vis-a-vis the Trinity, or compared to the Trinity. So in the Trinity, God is fully self-sufficient and independent of creation. In himself, he is a fullness of life, of love, of fellowship, of communication, of harmony. All that is lacking in the case of the Islamic deity. These are all foreign to his nature. He has to look outside of himself to realize these sorts of things. There's a lot of inconsistencies in the Islamic deity from the get-go. When Muhammad is borrowing things from the Bible to apply them to his monad, he doesn't realize the fundamental inconsistency there, right? So in the Bible, God is speaking already, right? Let there be light, let the earth bring forth, and so forth. Even before you get to verse 26 in Genesis 1, when it says, let us make man in our image, God is a speaking God. Well, why is he a speaking God? What does this presuppose about the nature of his existence? If he's a communicative being already, apart from the existence of other sentient creatures, then it presupposes already something akin to the Trinity. And that, of course, is what we have in the full revelation of God. So why is Allah ever portrayed as a speaking God? That would have to be accidental, right? These are accidental qualities or potentialities that are realized as a result of creation somehow supplementing him. I mean, it just doesn't hold together. Their God, they say, is independent and self-sufficient, but he really isn't, apart from creation.
So, guys, are you understanding that? It's similar to the idea that the God of the Bible is love by nature, which makes sense if there are three eternal persons. But Anthony there is talking about God speaking by nature, communicating by nature, which makes sense if there are three persons. But when he says that this would be accidental to Allah, it means it's not essential to his nature. If Allah creates, then he can communicate. But it's something that will happen if he creates. So if Allah creates, then he can do it and so on. But he's not that way just in essence and so on. Something along those lines, Anthony?
Yeah.
And so the God of Islam is messed up and defective and incomplete. And he needs other things. He needs other things to be who he wants to be.
Poor guy.
Until now, you're
Poor Allah.
telling me the triune God. But what I'm asking
Until
is not
now,
the triune
Jesus.
God.
Until
What
now,
I'm
Jesus
asking-
told you.
Let me finish.
But he
please.
needs to be accurate.
Let me finish.
Until
please.
now, Jesus said, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. So
No,
what is your
until
response
now,
to
what I'm
Jesus?
what I'm asking you,
You
is-
asked me a question. I answered you. No. He doesn't get to avoid. Yeah. But here's the problem.
Who's arguing with you there?
A bunch of other Muslims.
Oh, okay.
Here's the problem. He's trying to escape.
Are they trying to jump in there on it? Yeah.
He asked me a question. I don't mean to speak while you're interrupting.
Okay, what was
He
my
asked
question?
me a question. I answered it 3 times. Then I made a point, and now he, along with all of you, got distracted. That's the job of Satan. Here is my statement. Here is my statement that he needs to deal with. Jesus said, baptize them into the singular name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. What is your response to Jesus? What is your response to Jesus?
That's high quality Speaker's Corner debating there, Anthony. I don't think he's going to get it. I don't think he's
That's
going to
pretty
get
based.
it. I don't think he's going to get it. But hey, I quoted Jesus to you. How do you respond to Jesus? Jesus said this. Jesus said, baptize in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. How do you respond to what Jesus said? Make sense of what Jesus said for us. I'm guessing he's not going to respond and he's just going to say, no, and say something else, right?
Yeah. So I mentioned he'll repeat the same question or argument 5-6 times. I respond to it each time. What I wanted to put on the table was so he's got something that he's pursuing. Now I've added a verse, so it's sort of equal on the table, right? And he'll just keep ignoring the argument that I made in order to try and recover from the response I gave to his argument. It's not until like 6 interchanges back and forth that he'll finally try and say something about Matthew 28. So he's deathly afraid of the Jesus he supposedly loves more than Christians, and doesn't want at all to even think about what he said. He'd rather be thinking about men having breasts and so forth. Couldn't help it.
Isn't it, by the way, isn't it interesting? Like, because that just reminded me, like, Muhammad Hijab, hey, golden showers. And this guy, oh, Jesus had breasts, he had breasts, he was transgender. It's like, this is
That just
Darwinism.
came out of nowhere, Anthony. Like,
So I'm used to being surrounded by crowds, and one of the things that I was doing, I wish there were multiple angles, but in my mind, everybody present that's saying stuff, they're part of the debate, right? So it's not just the guy next to me. If somebody in the crowd saying something, I'm roping them into it too. I'm not going to let anybody get away with things, and so that's why I'm besides that, they're trying to aid and abet him. He wants to alter what I say. I hate when people do this. You say something, then they misrepresent it, and they go on for 5 minutes just knocking it down and slapping it silly and so forth, and you're thinking, you misrepresented it from the get-go. I'm going to stop you right here so you deal with what I actually said. So that's what I was trying to do. You're not responding to something Anthony Rogers made up, right? This is what Jesus said. You can claim it's a lie, it's a fabrication, but you got to do that. You can't say, Anthony Rogers said, right? I have nothing to do with the text as it stands today.
Wait.
To Jesus. If he's afraid to respond to Jesus, this will be the first definitive point against his position.
So now,
Yes, absolutely.
question
He's
to
wagging
you-
his head no, but this is fundamentally true. Fundamentally true.
you spoke it.
If you can't
Hey, Doors, in the chat, I'm going to give you an opportunity right now. You're what? Defending the claim that Rebecca was 3 or that she was a child or something? I'm going to give you the opportunity right now to prove your case. And if you can't, I'm blocking you unless you shut up right now and quit distracting people. We're watching a debate here. If you're here to distract, fine. I'm going to give you the opportunity. I'm going to give you the opportunity right now to prove your case. Prove chapter and verse, Rebecca was a 3-year-old girl, even though she's called young woman in the text. But go ahead and give us your case. If you can't, I'm blocking you for just constantly spending this entire thing distracting everyone from what we're talking about. Go ahead. Give your case now. Notice, guys, I'm giving him the chance. If he can prove his case, I'm giving him the chance right now. I'll put it on the screen. Doors, give us your case right now. We're pausing. We're actually you want attention? We're giving you the attention. Go ahead.
Yep.
We'll wait.
Riders on the storm.
Bow, 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 bow. Riders on the storm.
While we're waiting, did you know that Rebecca smoked cigarettes?
Oh.
Yeah, it says when she saw Isaac, in the King James Version, it says when she saw Isaac, she lit off her camel.
You see?
Nice.
You can take that and use that, Muslims.
Nice.
Rebecca of the Bible was a sinner.
Guys, has Doors responded? I don't know how I could possibly be any more generous. If he thinks he has a case and I say, hey, we will put the case up on the screen, and then he doesn't, that means he doesn't really believe he had a case, and he was just deliberately trying to distract. Am I missing something here? Has he posted a response? Everyone look, because there's a lot of comments, so I don't want to miss the response. Notice how generous.
I talked to Rebecca the other day. She's pretty intelligent for a 3-year-old.
You see? Doors here says young age means from 6 to 12. You didn't respond, Doors. So I'm going to give you one last comment. If I see one more comment from you and it does not answer the question, chapter and verse, I'm just blocking you for being a distraction and for coming in here as a minister of Satan to distract from the topic. Isn't it interesting? It's like that at Speaker's Corner. Anytime you're having a discussion, you have all these guys jump in and, I know. He said young means 6 to 12. Young woman. What's a young woman? A 6-year-old? Is a 6-year-old a young woman? Doors? Huh? Because you know what they call it, even up to a 12-year-old in the Bible. Little girl. Little girl.
And by the way, what verse is he referring to that says young woman?
Waiting, Doors. Last chance. I don't care what David Wood says about me. Okay. Then I don't care about blocking you. And wait. The next Zakir Naik asked him. Yes, the next Zakir Naik. You can block him. You can do the honors. Block Mr. Doors. All right. We ready to get back to this discussion? Gosh. All right. We'll watch a little bit more, but it looks like we can already figure out where this is going with Siraj here.
With the arguments, then sit down.
2 minutes, yeah, 2 minutes. Time for me. 2
Give me
minutes,
an answer. If he doesn't answer, he's dodging. He's not going to answer. You watch. You're hoping he won't
He's not
either.
going to answer.
Yeah? 2 minutes. Yeah?
Go ahead.
2 minutes. Yeah.
Yes.
So you've clearly asked him to respond to
These guys can't
Jesus.
debate. Thank you.
You've clearly
Go ahead.
asked him to respond to Jesus.
Answer my question on Jesus.
I answered it 3 times.
Let him talk, my friend.
He's lying. Let him lie. That's what you're saying. Let him lie. Let him lie. Let him lie. All the Muslims want him to lie.
Let him go for 2 minutes, then you can.
Okay, lie for 2 minutes. Go ahead, Siraj.
Pretty rude,
Okay, time,
Anthony.
yeah?
Yeah, go ahead.
2 minutes, yeah? Okay.
Why you assume he's going to lie?
So now, I'll repeat again for him. I asked him, Jesus had 2 natures. He said, God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
That's funny. Soko film. So I got the Soko version, but they put in some music when he starts talking.
Oh, did they?
Yeah,
Did they?
that wasn't me. Yeah, they tossed it in there.
3 different persons. these three different persons, one of them is the God of Jesus. Only who? The Father. If these three are one God, these three should be the Father and the God of Jesus, the flesh. So the God of Jesus, the flesh, should be the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Hey, next Zakir Naik. What are you doing deleting the message? Block the dude. We gave him a chance. He's here to distract.
But the Father and the God of Jesus is only the Father, and the Father, the God of Jesus, the flesh, is only the Father. So not the Son, not the Holy Spirit. But the God of Christians is God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. So the God of Christians is three in one, triune God. But the God of Jesus, the flesh, is not three. It's just one, the Father. So now my question to him was, who is the God of Jesus? Because Jesus told us in the Bible, according to them, the Gospel of John chapter 20, verse 17, I am going to my Father and your Father, my God and your God. According to this verse,
what in the name of... It sounds like he memorized his little Dawa script and then he just goes with it. By the way, next Zakir Naik, it looks like he has multiple doors, channels, doors 1, doors 2. Just go ahead and block him anytime he pops up, unless he learns how to hold a coherent thought and respond to a question when he's trying to distract. But what is this mess, Anthony? Let's let him finish.
Jesus, the flesh, according to them, the flesh has a God. So who is the God of Jesus out of these three persons in one? Is it the Father? Is it the Son? Is it the Holy Spirit? If it's only the Father, why the God of the Christians is different than the God of Jesus, the flesh?
You done?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Now observe. I've got 2 minutes now, uninterrupted. That's what we agreed to. 2 minutes. Observe two things. Number one, he repeated his question, even though I've already answered it 3 times. This will now make 4 times. This does not speak well for the intellect of anybody who would argue in this fashion.
He's not an intellectual.
But notice also, I made a point from the Lord Jesus that he entirely avoided. He entirely avoided the Lord Jesus. This man is not a man who submits to the revelation of God. So, what is my answer for the 4th time to his question? The term God can be used in more than one way and is in the scriptures. Sometimes the term God is being used as a personal designator for the Father. Sometimes it's being used qualitatively to talk about what the Father or the Son or the Spirit are. Just like the term man or Adam can be used to refer to a particular man and can also be used to refer to the nature of all of his descendants. So terms can be used in distinct ways. This man's whole argument turns on a failure to understand something as basic as this. When God is referred to as Jesus God, it's referring to the person of the Father, not to the common divine nature that all three of them share. Now, I've answered his question for the 4th time. Even if he doesn't get the answer, I hope you do. But now one thing that you'll have to do is hold his feet to the fire to not only repeat his question again for the 5th time, as if to prove to the hilt the fundamental irrationality of the anti-Trinitarian position, but also deal with what Jesus said. What did Jesus say? Baptize them into the name, singular, of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. That's the God of Jesus. That's the God Jesus proclaimed. That's the God that Jesus proclaimed. That's the God that Siraj. Okay.
So now, until now, you didn't
Misspoke a little there, but I meant, yeah, I think it's clear.
Anthony, do we need to continue this, or is it just going to a more of the same thing over and
No,
over?
I mean, there's others. I think it's worth people looking at the video, but it's going to be a lot of repeat. A few other things come up later, but I think we get the basic point as far as this goes.
Give us the executive summary, and there's about 20 more. There's about 20 more minutes of this video that they can watch over. They can watch it on Soko Films, where I got this, or they can watch it on your channel, Anthony Rogers. Give us the gist of how things play out.
Yeah, so one of the things I do eventually is I bring up John 1:1. He doesn't even seem to get the reason I brought it up.
Shocker.
He thinks that I'm using it to make an additional argument for the deity of Christ or something like that. But what I'm really doing is showing how the term God, which is used twice there in John 1:1, it's being used in two distinct ways. Grammatically, this isn't even an interpretive issue. It's not me saying this is my Christian perspective. As somebody who's taken years of Greek, I can say that when you look at the second clause of John 1:1, it says the word was with God. There, the term God is in the accusative form, so it's the direct object of the sentence, and it's articular, meaning it's in this context being used for a particular person. It's saying the word was with God, and God there is a reference to a specific person, the Father. But in the last clause of John 1:1, it says, and the word was God. Now, in this case, the word God is not articular, and the construction, without getting fancy, the way it's rendered is it brings out the idea that the word is by nature God. He's not the person who was just called God, that's the Father. He is by nature what the Father is. So it's a qualitative use of the term God. And you can read this in any standard work in Greek grammar. So I make this point, and then he goes off trying to say that John picks this up from the Vedic scriptures, and then I expose him for being ignorant of Moses because he says in the beginning, that's a phrase that's found in the Vedic scriptures, and I say no, this is a phrase that comes right out of Moses. So here's a Muslim who doesn't even know what Moses said, and yet he claims to follow. Yeah, it was really dumb. A lot of dumb stuff. So if people want to hear more of his ramblings, they can go watch that. I had fun, but
wow. So this is Dawa. Everyone else ducked you. One guy stepped up to the plate, and it says in the beginning. You see this from the Vedic scriptures, because anyone who says in the beginning.
and he kept saying this can't be about God because it says beginning. God has no beginning. And I said, the verse is not saying God had a beginning. It's talking about the beginning of everything, and it says the word already was. The grammar, it says the word was. He was in the beginning already, and everything came into being through him. So yeah, a lot of other dumb stuff was brought up. That was yeah. I'm sure he would have rather talked about breasts.
Guys, this is Speaker's Corner. Christians, get the Speaker's Corner and dominate that place. Look at what you're up against. My goodness. All right. Let's go through these super chats. I don't think we can possibly learn anything from Siraj or possibly from any other Dawa guy at Speaker's Corner, since they won't even talk to us. I mean, Siraj, to his credit, at least tried to engage. Most of the other guys wouldn't even talk. Then the people who would talk were groups like the Quranis and so on.
No, you specifically went there on a day where Ali Dawa and Muhammad Shab wouldn't be there because you were scared of them.
You see, you planned the conference months in advance for when Ali Dawa wouldn't show up.
Good to see you, Kay.
Wingnuts assemble. Who are the Wingnuts? Wingnuts assemble. Press that like button. Who are Wingnuts?
That's is that Wingalings?
No.
Is that
Wingalings? Wingalings are their own things. Wingalings are their own things. Let's see. Let me find where these. Let's see. Could you respond to DMs so that I know you saw them? Also, dude in the middle looks like he's in constant state of sadness. That's true.
With that big old smile on his face.
Who are you talking to about responding to DMs?
Probably You, because
I
you
don't-
don't respond.
I don't recall getting any DMs from. That's got to be AP. Hey, look, here you go. Man in the middle looks like he wields a sword to every cookout. Big up. Have you guys seen the cultish episode a couple weeks about Islam? I'd love to hear your opinions. The convo kind of sugar-coated Islam. You know what this is talking about, AP? Cultish episode? Is there a show called Cultish?
I don't know. Cultish? Never heard of it.
Sugar-coated Islam? Is there a show called Cultish?
Is there a channel
So-
called Cultish?
so-
I don't know.
I think cultish is related to Jeff Durbin. I've not really watched it.
Jeff Durbin wouldn't sugarcoat Islam, would he?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I know. That doesn't sound like him. Cultish.
What?
Oh, yeah. When I typed in cultish, there is a show called The Cultish Show. But yeah, Apologia Studios popped up.
Yeah. So that's Durbin's group.
Okay. So where is Islam?
Oh, wait. What does it say? When was that?
Oh,
a
3
couple
weeks ago. Muhammad and the
Didn't I-
origins of Islam.
I see that there.
Maybe we should go through that and expose Apologia Studios.
We should maybe
We will humiliate them.
destroy, humiliate them.
They're going to be humiliated. Interesting if they're sugarcoating Islam. Knowing AP, his stream about Candace will probably be titled, Black Woman Gets Destroyed by Turkish-Based Man. That does sound like what AP would title it. Here we have Eli Copter, Lama
I'm checking the comment
Sabachthani.
section right now of that. I'm checking the comment section of that Islam video on cultish, and some of the comments do say things like, "This guest seems very sympathetic to Islam.
Ooh,
This
not good.
sounds a little dramatic and stuff like that." So maybe we should have a look at that.
Yeah, maybe we should
might
have a look
be
at that.
then, if they had a guest on, it might be that the guest was softer than they might otherwise be.
Well, why wouldn't they have AP as the guest to school everybody? Yeah, exactly. No response.
Because they were looking for the atheist AP, and he no longer exists.
What is your opinion of the possible Islamification of the UK since visiting London?
It's over. Yeah.
It's done. Get a bunker.
It's gonna be the UC, the United Caliphate UC.
Yeah, you can actually get the impression that Islam is taking over when you visit a place like London, mainly the areas of London that we were in, because there are just tons and tons and tons of Muslims there. But the large Muslim populations, they're centered in specific places. There are places you can go in the UK and you're not going to run into any Muslims. I think people are going to get fed up. I think people are going to get more aggressive. And what you just saw at Speaker's Corner is it's a microcosm of a bigger issue. It's as long as you have people who are completely ignoring Islam and you have Muslims focused on going around thumping their chests, they can look very impressive. The moment a bunch of Christians pay attention to them, it crumbles. The dawah crumbles. And so that's now keep in mind, that doesn't mean people are going to pay attention. People can continue putting it off. And so that the situation gets worse and worse and worse. But it looks like people are starting to become concerned about Islam and starting to focus on doing something about Islam. But again, you just saw at Speaker's Corner what can happen on a much larger scale. Dawah crumbles. Dawah crumbles as soon as people start getting active. Did you have any impression, Anthony, when you were there, as far as Islamification of the UK?
Well, yeah, I mean,
You think it's too late, like AP?
I couldn't say just based on what I saw in there. Although I'll say I didn't see as many Muslims as you might otherwise be led to think are there. Like you said, they're concentrated in certain areas. when I got there, I told you I was spotted by a couple of Muslims. They told me, don't go to this area. So I took it that meant that was an Islamic area. Now, immediately, you know how we think. I hear that, and I hear that as that's where you need to go. So the whole time I'm thinking I need to go over there. And anyways, but there were Muslims walking around, but I didn't feel like they were a majority anywhere I was at. Except when you go to the corner, you see a lot more Muslims in that area. But yeah, even there were more Christians. And of course, this is, I know, an anomaly.
What? You see?
You see?
You see? That was random.
He was getting kind of nervous, and he was specifically kind of
Oh, now he wants to come back.
Talking very nicely about Muslims and like making it look like there is no big problem because he was scared that Muslims are going to kill him. And he goes back to the London.
A little weakling
and then
ran.
Yeah. Oh wait, here he is. So. Yeah.
Wow, Anthony ran.
That was rude. I got kicked out like Ibn Farouk trying to enter Trinidad.
Hey, I had Massad's leather straps here. Says I had my first debate with a Muslim. He brought up John 5:19 to prove Jesus was a Muslim. I said, is Allah known as Father? He said Christians made up that word. Perfect first encounter. That is pretty standard dawah there. That is pretty standard dawah. Here, let's pick up on something and say, you see, this proves that Jesus was a Muslim. And as soon as you point out that the exact same verse kind of rules out Islam, well, they made that part up.
That's a neat trick. Trick. God is called Father in Deuteronomy 32, Isaiah 63, Malachi 2. These are the guys that are supposed to follow all the prophets.
Solaria says, might I get some sort of confirmation with regards to when you are intending to review my video? I commented which one it ought to be as you asked. Yes, comment again on this video, Solaria, just because if that was on a previous video, it would be easier if it's right here. But we'll do it this Sunday on my channel. This Sunday, just name the video. Just put, and you don't need to give another super chat. Just post in the comments afterwards. I know you posted it. When I brought this up on a previous video. But again, it'd be easier to do right here. Just post the name of your video. I will check that out before we go live on Sunday on my channel, and we will check that out. Would you rather catch your child listening to satanic black metal, mayhem, and dark throne, or blah blah blah? AP, I don't know what any of this means, so you can answer.
Blah 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 blah. Probably, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what any of this means, so.
Me either.
Canned ace, that's what Andrew Tate calls her. Canned ace is a snake in the grass. Soon enough, she will decide it benefits her to clutch her pearls at the racial belief of the Groypers. Then she will burn her next bridge, cause a big disruption, and cash in. Predictable. Is that true, AP?
You know what's funny about her? She also, I don't know did we talk about this? She signed up on this one website, Minect or something like that, which was, I think, started by
Jews.
Patrick David, and she signed up on there to where you can apparently pay to talk to her.
Oh yeah, for like $1,500 a minute or something.
Yeah, people
nonsense.
Pointing out that you have to pay her like $22,000 to talk to her for 15 minutes.
Nice. Quite a bargain. Quite a bargain. AP is shilling for the powerful Turkic Zionist agnostic lobby. The Groypers know the truth.
Yeah.
Caned axe spray doesn't believe in dinosaurs. Did she post something about not believing? Oh, she posted something. The older I get, the less it makes sense that a meteor hit the Earth.
Yeah. That dinosaurs were walking around until a meteor came and hit the Earth or something like that. She's just which is not even it's not even, she's not even explaining it properly. She's just misunderstanding the whole situation. I don't know, she's just saying dumb things one after the other.
Powerful. You see, Islam was intellectually molested at Speaker's Corner. That's how hijab would describe it if he were not part of the molested group. Found your channel while recovering from a motorcycle accident just after a deployment last year. Now I finally catch you. Much love to you all. Yes, thank you. Imagine being so pathetic and soy-pilled that you don't believe in dinosaurs, gods, tripped out lizard boys. Did you hear about Geert Wilders wanting to ban the Quran? Really? Did you hear that, AP? What's to ban
I'm
the
not
Quran?
sure if that's actually still the thing. I thought he changed his mind on that, or he has walked back on that. He does want to crack down a lot on immigration, current immigrant,
Alusa and Manat.
yes, and Islamic things, but I don't think he actually wants to ban the Quran.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. Kind of weird saying ban the Quran. The only thing I would say is like a hypothetical to Muslims who are saying that criticism of Islam should be blocked. And I would put it as, okay, if you want to start banning things that you don't like, well, guess what? We don't like the Quran. Or if you want to start banning things that are critical of your position, the Quran is very critical of other people's position. And therefore, if you want to start banning stuff over this, then the first thing we're going to ban is the Quran. Do you agree? If not, stop calling on stuff to be banned. I would say it like that. Reason for no Muslim boys was Tommy Robinson post on X. So, yeah, Tommy Robinson did post that Christians were going to Speaker's Corner. So I guess it's possible that some people are like, we don't want to go down there that day. But that would just mean they're a bunch of little weaklings, wouldn't it? This may be a Zen question, but if a Pakistani couple gets a divorce, are they still brother and sister? No, they're still first cousins. Get it right. First cousins. First cousins. Have you guys heard of Salwan Momik? I don't know how to pronounce his name, but yeah, he's the guy who's burned Qurans. I think he's Iranian. Does that sound right? Iranian or Iraqi?
I don't know.
He was one of those guys.
Iraqi refugee, yeah.
Yeah, he was burning Qurans, and then whatever country he was in is like, we're going to send you back to your country. And he's like, I'm dead there. They're like, wow, but all we care about are Muslims, and you're not. And then so I think he was going to go to some other country. But seems like a funny dude. Abdul's sound like a person caught after cheating. Yeah, that is a good description. Someone who gets caught after cheating. That's what all the Dawa guys are like. Seems like I came in pretty late, but I have to say that if the trajectory continues as it is, I will choose the cow. That's a good choice. Apparently evolution and dinosaurs are Jewish conspiracy now. Don't believe me? Look in the comments of Candace's tweet where she denies dinosaurs. So that's a Jewish conspiracy now, apparently.
Oh, Jewish conspiracy.
The Jews actually traveled back in time to plant all the bones there and stuff. Yeah.
I need to ask, if Alan is handicapped, who was in the burning bush near to Moses?
That's a good question.
We don't know. It's one of life's great mysteries. But Siraj isn't going to answer, no matter how many times you ask. I think Siraj's ancestry prevents him from comprehending entry-level theology. Anthony, you weren't here when AP was saying ancestry, but he was saying it as incestry. And then so I did a tweet on, and I said, the ancestry DNA test in Pakistan would be called ancestry DNA. And it looks like it may be on the verge of becoming an inside joke here about the ancestry. Solaria here, theology issue here. The difference between the natures of Christ, man and God, is like the difference between the fleshly body of a man and the new creature in Christ. We now bear such a distinction likewise. Funny, no? How do you respond, Anthony?
like I'm frozen. Can you hear me?
Oh, you're frozen again. Anthony freezes every time he gets a theology question. Look at that. Look
Good
at
for you.
He freezes.
Good for
He
you.
freezes just like he did in front of Siraj.
Well, I don't know why my internet's active lately.
We can only conclude that Anthony has no response. Wow, 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 wow. Oh, no, we have a theology question for Anthony. Anthony. So Ida here says, D. Wood, I'm trying to understand how God or the Holy Spirit can be persons. Can you please explain? Maybe it is a language issue for me. Yes, I think you're thinking of persons as human beings. This came up in a different live stream when we were saying what was the context? The context was we were talking about, I forget what the context was, but we were talking about persons as like conscious agents and so on. People kept sending me messages. Hey, the plural of person is people, not persons. Don't you know English? And like, no, that's not how it's used in philosophy or theology, the term person and persons. There you're talking about some sort of conscious agent or something like that. So you're thinking of persons as a human being. No, human beings are persons, but they're not the only things that qualify as persons. Anthony, are you back yet? The answer is no.
Yeah, I just say quickly if I can be heard. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So I think it's sufficient for a person just to think of now I'm using the word person, but to think of the word person as a self-aware subject. Father is self-aware, the Son is self-aware, the Spirit is self-aware. Each speaks as I throughout the Bible, and each refers to the other as you, or refer to all, that speak together or us. So that's all that we by this. We're not saying that they're all these embodied beings like individuals the way that we think, as David said.
Yeah, so the things that you encounter in your daily life, Ida, the persons you encounter in your daily life are fellow human beings. But those aren't the only persons that a Christian would believe exists. God would be a person if you communicate and you say I and so on. Angels would be persons. That's why in responding to certain Muslim objections, you have if the black stone actually communicates and intercedes for people and so on, then the black stone is a personal agent. The black stone would be a person. If the Quran appears as a pale man and individual chapters of the Quran appear as flocks of birds but are communicating and interceding and talking and so on, then they are persons. And so that would seem to you are correct. That seems to be a language issue. Anthony sounded like he was getting a revelation from Allah when his internet bugged out. Siraj didn't want to leave that point alone like Momo left Aisha alone at 18. Dawa guys really are ignorant.
He left her alone at 18, but not when she was 9.
Yep. She got a little old. She got a little old. I got to go. Ja, think we should tell Muslim Satanists have only one God too? Cheer up, AP. You got a lot of love around you. Bring testimony to the UK for those who want to leave. People do need to leave Islam. The interaction between Siraj and Anthony probably mirrors how the Jews of Mecca reacted to Muhammad, except they just said, yeah. That is probably a parallel, trying to explain something to someone and they don't get it.
When I read the Islamic sources, I can't help but get the impression often that the Jews were having a laugh at Muhammad at every turn and not telling him until maybe you know, until at some point they would finally say something. But it's like they're laughing at him for quite a while before they tell him what the joke is.
I did think about that as well. That they might have been quite entertained by his responses, and that they might have actually mocked him or deliberately asked certain questions where they know he will just come back with some nonsense.
And then his followers all, oh, he's getting a revelation. Relation with other subjects and exercising creativity must be grounded in the life of God for God to have a second potency or capacity to do contingent things, create the world, and relate to it. Your response, Anthony? True or not?
Yeah, I mean, why would a monad even create at all? Why would a monad, a solitary being, create other beings with whom it could communicate and have fellowship if that's not already essential to who and what he is? If he's not that kind of being, why is he going to create a world in which he can, further experience that? Or
why are you stuttering?
My throat is.
You need that on a soundboard.
You still messed up after Speaker's Corner after getting humiliated by Siraj?
Actually, so yeah, the second day I got there, I could already feel my throat was getting raw, and then my nose was stuffing up. When you listen to the video, you could probably tell it's not my normal voice when I was talking with Siraj. My voice was nasally.
Yeah, that's what was funny. I had a pretty terrible cold. I mean, I was sipping on cough suppressant and stuff as we're in the Uber to get there. But it's just funny because any of these Dawa guys, that would have been, if there was ever a perfect time to come up and debate me, it would have been that time because my voice would not have lasted, right? I could shout in short bursts, but I could not have shouted for any sustained bit of time. So
yeah, I was, with my throat being so raw, I was concerned that at certain points, if I was debating, getting animated, maybe getting loud, that I might have an Ali Dawa moment and, suddenly say, yeah, and if it just slips out in the midst of it all, it might seem like, puberty. That I guess Ali Dawa might be in perpetual puberty mode. I don't know. But
hey, look at this. Next time you guys are there, borrow from hijab and say, "You're finished already. You know you're through." Didn't you do that at the end? Because when I was cutting it at the end,
yeah,
you actually did that. You start going. They're saying you're finished.
I kept doing that to Siraj. I don't think he caught the joke.
Yeah, and I was imitating. Boy. I was imitating hijab anytime like some of his hecklers came along. I start going, me strong than you.
Oh yeah, what did somebody say at one point? They said something like, hijab crushed you. Then you said something. I said not nearly as much as he crushed the Quran. That holes in the narrative interview.
Yeah. Man, Anthony, I was eating something when you said lit off her camel. Now I got junk in my sinuses. Thanks. You're welcome, Jack. This is because the second potency is always related to the nature of the actuality that grants you a capacity. Christianity has that theology of communion, while Islam does not. Wait, this is because the second potency is always related to the nature of the actuality that grants you a capacity. Yeah, that is interesting. In other words, your potencies are going to be related to the actuality. And so if you don't have the actuality that could give you the potency, then in other words, you could think of like a computer chip. You take a computer chip there are certain things which when combined can give rise to a computer chip. You can't make the computer chip out of oatmeal. So if that's what you're starting with, you can never get the ability to make it into that computer chip or something like that. You have to have it has to be in the nature of the thing to become that thing or to do that thing. Wing nuts assemble.
Higher than its source.
Yeah, who are the wingnuts, man? I don't know who the wingnuts are still. Christian apologists use high-level English terminology, and these Muslims don't understand. Please break it down. Person in Trinity taken as different being. Doors needs multiple doors because he's so deep in the closet. Bro's a prince of Narnia. He's so deep in the closet, he's a prince of Narnia. Ibn Farouk was denied entry into Trinidad. Yeah, we saw that. Ukraine. What?
Ooh.
Ukraine
Nothing.
or Russia united caliphate. Can AP give me the rundown on his wife converting? How many people are going to ask about that? Do you want to say anything else along this matter, AP?
I mean, she's right here in the chat.
Yeah.
You can ask her.
Yeah. Ask. Yeah, she just responded when I mentioned oatmeal. Oatmeal.
Yeah. But yeah, she I don't know how to break it down for her, but she was thinking about it, and yeah, she now identifies as a Christian once again, just exploring.
In all your faces, atheists have been humiliated.
Now all the atheists are going around saying, "Oh, she never left atheism. Atheism left her. Nobody ever leaves atheism."
We have all heard David's testimony, but what of Sir Anthony and the other guy? Well, what's AP's testimony going to be? How he went from atheism to agnosticism? We already heard that. He went to Jerusalem.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Give us a quick version, Anthony. Then we just got a couple more super chats, and we'll be out. You already talked about it a little bit earlier, but go ahead.
Yeah, the quick version is I grew up streets of California, was a criminal.
Streets.
Eventually
car
got
thief.
in trouble.
World champion car thief.
I got in trouble when I was 18. Prior to that, I got in trouble, but they never prosecuted anything. It never amounted to any serious jail time or anything. So when I went to prison, an atheist, I love the story. There's so many remarkable things about it, but I was incarcerated initially with a self-professed devil worshiper, and he would draw he was a nice guy, which is
was
part
his
of the
name
irony.
Rid Van? Oh, sorry,
I don't even remember his name. It was so long ago, but he was a really nice guy. So it's strange that he was a professed devil worshiper. But he would tell me stuff about the Bible. I didn't believe what he was saying. And it was also strange because I never mentioned any interest in the Bible. He just had this axe to grind. And so he told me how to get a Bible so he could show me why I shouldn't believe in the Bible I already don't believe in. So I got a Bible. He couldn't find what he was talking about. I read it, and it disturbed me because I knew that what it said about me was true. And if what it said about God is true, then I've got a whopper of a problem on my hands. Anyways, fast forward, I heard the gospel. Somebody preached to me. I believed it. I was overjoyed. I couldn't believe that my sins were forgiven. That was just so foreign of a notion to me. But I was. And so I wanted to tell everybody about it. And I've been doing it ever since for 30 years now. So now I currently vocationally go into prisons. I minister to prisoners. That's my normal day-to-day vocation.
Pretty based. Here's one for you, AP. Why is the name Yah missing from the Quran, AP? You're kind of the main person who uses this, but go ahead.
It's a very long topic.
Yeah.
I made
refer to your video. Give the gist, and then just point out your video.
But yeah, so it is missing indeed because the Quran doesn't have any actual content from the Bible, although it claims that it comes from the same source. It is never mentioned anywhere. Muslims don't have the name Yahweh anywhere in their religious book, in their texts. And if you ask Muslims today about the name Yahweh, they will have no idea what you're talking about. Plus, if you say that this is the name of God, they will deny that it is so. It is, however, found in the Quran only unintentionally when certain prophets, when certain people are mentioned, for individuals mentioned whose name makes a reference to Yahweh. One of those is Jesus, for example. The other is one of the most important one, actually, in my opinion, in this argument is Elijah, which in Arabic is Elias, but in Hebrew it is Eliyahu, which literally means "my God is Yahweh." So the Quran mentions these people whose names clearly acknowledge Yahweh and say "my God is Yahweh" and reference Yahweh, but it never becomes aware of the name Yahweh because in Muhammad's time, when he was preaching and he was talking to Christians and to Jews, nobody probably used the name Yahweh in spoken form to him because Jews don't do it and Christians also don't do it. And it's considered very sacred. So he never became aware of it. Muslims never became aware of it, which is why they never adopted it and never knew of it. So it completely eluded them, this fact that the very God who supposedly revealed the Quran as well is actually named Yahweh and actually directly says that this is his eternal name forever in the Bible. So, yeah. But you can find, I made a video breaking this down in great detail, which I called How Allah Got His Name Wrong. So I would just check that out.
How do you respond to people who are pagans for nationalistic purposes or because they feel that Christianity was forced upon their people? That would kind of be a version of like the genetic fallacy, like where you're explaining the origin. If you think that if you explain how a belief arose, that you've therefore shown that it's false. That's not true. So this would be kind of a parallel to that, in that if something was forced upon you, then you should reject it. Like historically, like if you had a group that imposed Christianity in an area, therefore you should reject it. No, if someone took over your area and imposed 2 + 2 = 4 on you, that doesn't mean you should reject 2 + 2 = 4. There's still the issue of whether something is true or not. And if you were a bunch of pagans and Christians came along, let's suppose there was a Christian army who came along, that does not mean that paganism is true or that Christianity is false. So I would probably break down something along those lines.
Beast.
And finally here, the Quran definitely seems like it was composed, at least in part, as a result of people punking Muhammad. Indeed. His revelation was definitely a reactive thing. Many hadiths suggest this pathetic juggling. Indeed. Hey, Anthony, you've talked before about all these passages where Muhammad's finding out all these things from Jews, and then it affects his rulings on various things because he hears, oh, the Jews. Hey, we can't hear anything you're saying.
I muted myself. I pointed out
after Siraj muted you in the debate. No, go ahead.
So I always say that the Jews were 1 step ahead of Muhammad and 2 steps ahead of Allah. Muhammad doesn't find out until the Jews tell him, and Allah doesn't find out until Muhammad finds out. Pretty suspicious, right? Mm-hmm. So the Jews will tell Muhammad, you're committing shirk. You're swearing by things other than Allah. And so then Muhammad gets a revelation from Allah saying,
revelation.
Right. So, but when they do this, it almost seems like it's after there's been a lot of time to laugh at him. Like they don't tell him immediately. They've gotten their laughs, and now it's like, okay, we're done. You know how you're laughing hilariously at something, and what do you do after that's sort of worn off? Well, then you tell somebody else so you can laugh further, right? So that it's almost like that's what they're doing. We've already laughed enough at Muhammad. Now we need to tell him so we can extend the laughter. And that's how it looks to me. I think they're constantly aware of Muhammad's blunders, but they don't initially clue him in until they've sufficiently had their fun.
Indeed. Everyone had fun with Muhammad. All right, AP, can you read this? This is the last.
Rules.
Can you even read this gibberish?
It says, Ridwan, I prayed for you.
Nice.
I hope you will find
Masihi. I know that.
You will accept the Messiah. He died for your sins and for our sins, for all of our sins. Yeah, that's what it says. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Why do they have to use the worst language in the universe to put it?
I don't know. This is literally torture. Yeah.
Turkish is torture. All right, guys. Any final thoughts before we sign off here? I guess the final thoughts would be, the takeaway for me in all this is we've talked a lot, AP. We've talked a lot on our channels over the past several years about how the Dawah guys, they've shifted their attention from interacting with people who know about Islam to going on people's podcasts and so on and getting access to more people who are completely ignorant about Islam. That's why they lose their minds for like an Andrew Tate or a Sneeko. When a Sneeko comes along and says, hey, I'm converting to Islam, it's like, oh, Sneeko has these, has all these fans out there and stuff like that. And guess what? How much do these guys know about Islam? Nothing. They're the dumbest of the dumb. So we can actually we can do dawah to these guys because dawah isn't working in other places because now people are catching on. So we need people who are completely ignorant. And so that's what dawah is nowadays. One, it's trying to help Muslims not doubt Islam. That's the main goal. But the secondary goal is looking for people, the remaining people in the world who are completely ignorant about Islam. And sadly, there are still tons and tons of people who are very, very ignorant of Islam. Dawah is now looking for those ignorant people who don't know any better and trying to find them and get them to convert to Islam. It has shifted away from actually engaging with anyone who might know something. And so we've talked about that as far as these guys always trying to go on, let's get on the Jordan Peterson podcast. Let's get on this podcast. Oh, we want to get on Joe Rogan so we can talk about Islam and people won't know any better. But we see the exact same thing as Speaker's Corner. They no longer want to engage with anyone who knows anything about Islam. And Chris was right that you had people showing up. You had the return of Jay Smith, you had Anthony there and so on, and you had Siraj. He was willing to interact. But all of these sheikhs and so on who go there for dawah, they don't want to go anywhere near anyone who knows anything about Islam. And what does that tell you? If you actually believe that your dawah argument can stand up to scrutiny, then when David Wood or Anthony Rogers or God Logic shows up, wouldn't you want to show the internet? Wouldn't you want to show the crowd and the internet, hey, here's God Logic. Here's God Logic. Here's Anthony Rogers. I'm going to give my argument against the Trinity to Anthony Rogers. So all you guys can see that I have this awesome argument. But no, people show up and they don't want anything to do with us. What does that mean about how confident they are in their actual arguments? It's almost like they know it doesn't work. It's almost like they know nothing they can say would actually work against someone who knows something about Islam. It's like they know it. And so the only people we can talk to are people who are completely ignorant. If that doesn't tell you everything you need to know about dawah, I don't know what does. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think they avoided you guys because they know that that you are already finished and they would humiliate you. So that's pretty much my takeaway. Yeah.
Final thought, Anthony? Well, you're muted again.
They're called Dawagandists for a reason. They do dawah, and it's little more than propaganda. And the propaganda in this case, which got thoroughly exposed, is these guys talk a tough game when there's nobody there to compete over against them. And the last thing they want is to get publicly exposed. And like I said this at the beginning because I mentioned Mansour. I said, to all appearances, Mansour was ducking and dodging people, right? Mansour.
He was flowing. He was
all he
away.
has to do. All he has.
He was
to
running.
Do, and all,
he was
all,
the Mansour was running, flowing. And
Don't expose the Mansour.
Any of them have to do. Mansour, Paul Williams, Muhammad Hijab, Ali Dawa. All they have to do to prove me wrong is accept a challenge to debate. And I'm convinced they won't do it, but I'd be only too happy to be proven wrong.
And so those are the takeaways, ladies and gentlemen. The Dawa guys do not actually believe their arguments can stand up to scrutiny. And the other thing was, if Christians show up to the corner, Christians win the corner. If Christians show up to the corner, Christians win the corner, which means the only way Christians do not win that corner is if Christians don't show up, and that would be on us, ladies and gentlemen.
Or if you make it round. Yeah.
Great point, AP. Thank you. All right, guys. I will be on the Nigerian perspective with Frank tomorrow. 3.
Wait. Tomorrow at the same time? It's 8?
No. 3.
Oh,
Stop worrying. If you want to talk about Candace or something, we could do that.
I want to Candace tomorrow. So
yeah, so 3 p.m. ladies and gentlemen, tune in. I will send out the link when we're getting closer. But I will be on with Frank from the Nigerian perspective. We will be talking about whether Islam is a religion of peace, and I'm going to say absolutely, absolutely. And we know that Nigerian Christians are going to agree with that, right? Because after all, there are more Nigerian Christians being killed for their faith than the entire rest of the Christians in the world combined. More Christians are being killed in Nigeria for their faith than in the rest of the world combined. So good time to talk about jihad. What anyone notice AP finds this all hilarious as soon as I talk about Nigerian Christians being killed? And then he starts cracking up laughing like this is.
I'm just laughing because of the Mansour thing. Somebody
Mansour. Mansour is funny. Yeah. What?
Somebody saying Mansour is a crazy name.
Who would name their kid Mansour?
Man.
Last thing, Anthony. We had one more super chat. Anthony, do you think Islam is a different beast in the UK than the USA? And Mike, who's at Mike, does Siraj now complete your list of Islamic apologists you were making? Amazing to meet you both. Who is Mike? I don't know.
Mike Winger. That's you, Mike Winger. And Anthony is Anthony.
As far as a list of Islamic apologists we're making, no, Siraj is not on the list. He could be at best bottom of a second tier. We need guys with a lot more charisma, and you need to bring something new to the table. So no, but Anthony. Well, I guess this is for everyone. Yeah, Islam is different in the UK than in the USA, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say, yeah, in a sense, and I know these guys would agree with this nuance that it's the same ugly thing everywhere, but it doesn't always show its ugly face as, it doesn't expose as much of it in all circumstances. There are stages to Islam's unveiling of itself. So you see more of its hideous nature. The greater the numbers, the greater the ability of Muslims to enact their religion. So over in the UK, there's a sizable number of them. They can be a little bit more, uppity and so forth. But they'll do that here too if they, you go to a mosque and it's almost like they have this flash of there being in a majority just because at the mosque they are. Mm-hmm. And then you'll get some of them being, violent and so forth. But for the most part, they're much more subdued than they are over there in the UK. They'll try to get away with more at the park than they would ever try to get away with here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you'd have to go to certain areas like Dearborn or something like that before. But the idea is you're dealing with much higher percentages in certain areas of the UK than you are in most areas of the US, and so that's just the pattern. That's just the pattern, ladies and gentlemen. As the percentages rise, the behavior changes. You were about to say something, AP?
Yeah, there was also there was a Pew research quite a while ago, many years ago, which looked at U.S. Muslims, comparing them to Muslims across the world, and which came to the conclusion that U.S. Muslims seem to be um, the least religious Muslims, and also have significant differences in terms of how they are detached from Muslim community, how they have more non-Muslim friends than Muslims anywhere else in the world, that they don't attend mosque and things like that regularly. So Islam is quite different in America, which might also be a result of the geographic difference.
You heard it here, folks, and I've already seen that AP has posted on Twitter, preparing a major takedown of Candace's lies and grift.
Ooh.
All because she's a strong black woman. AP, the Turk, just can't deal with it.
Yep.
All right. Well, maybe AP will learn some tolerance at some point. Catch you all tomorrow.
Inshallah.